Welcome to the 4th virtual elevator night. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of background about what we do here for free for you every single Sunday during the quarantine. My name is Dan Fleyshman. I run a company called Elevator Studios. For the last 6 years, we throw a live event called Elevator Nights, which is what you're watching right now. Elevator Nights is normally in person with 300 to 1,000 people. We've thrown that event 38 times over the years, completely free for entrepreneurs. Now, due to the quarantine, we've taken it online so we can have thousands and thousands of people watch with us live here tonight. What happens is we're going to have every 15 to 20 minutes a different speaker. Tonight we have an action-packed all-star lineup focused on the positive mindset. The people that are speaking tonight range from business owners with multi-billion-dollar exits, thought leaders, best-selling authors, top-rated podcasters, and some really special surprise guests. So, what I really want you guys to do is take notes, ask questions. Every hour we give out prizes. Actually, every 20, 30 minutes we give out prizes throughout the entire 3 hours. So it's important to be active inside here and ask good questions, focused on business, mindset, or life questions. Please don't do any spam or ask for things like that. We really want people to be interactive so we can streamline the process, especially when we do cash giveaways. During the cash giveaways, I give those out from my personal Cash App. So I'm going to be sending you money, a lot of you guys money, throughout the night. And so if you have Cash App, put your code in there. And we will do 1 or 2 PayPal giveaways. With those, you'll be emailing. The email address, have this on file, is winner@100millionacademy.com. Just be ready for those. You don't have to do it in real time, meaning if you wanted to send it after watching, that's totally fine. When you do it in real time, it's going to be in the chat. Those are going to be really quick. So I'll say Cash App code, and I'm going to ask you a question about what the speaker just talked about. So if Jim Kwik or Joel Marion or Jamie Kern Lima is saying something, you're going to want to listen to those things, and I'm going to ask questions based on that. That's for Cash App. We're also going to send out prizes. Prizes range from books, large boxes, 15-minute coaching calls with some of the speakers. We have these 100 Million Academy entrepreneur boxes provided by 100millionacademy.com. These have almost $500 worth of products inside of it, from Steve Aoki headphones, books, phone chargers, all kinds of unique items go inside of these wooden crates. So 100 Million Academy boxes we send out every single hour throughout the night. We'll be doing these every single Sunday, again, totally for free. All we want you to do is be active, learn, listen, share with your friends, get them involved in these nights. There is a max since we are on Zoom. There will be a max as we get bigger and bigger. So we do place these on YouTube afterwards. We get a lot of questions if there will be a replay. This will be on YouTube, on the Elevator YouTube channel in a few days from now. Sometimes the next day, if it's long like tonight where we have 3.5 hours of great content, it might take 2 days just to get everything uploaded. So, give you a quick background in case you don't know who I am. My social media agency, Elevator Studios, we spend around $60 million with influencers for products, brands, and mobile apps. We've been doing that since the beginning of time of social media. My main passion is my charity. It's called Model Citizen Fund. We make backpacks for the homeless with 150 emergency supply items inside. And my true passion, separate from my charity, is helping other people's charities as well. So, a lot of times we throw charity events through Elevator Studios, and we try to help people make their charity raise more money, raise more capital, and raise more awareness. I'm also a very active angel investor. I've angel invested into 36 companies, mostly products and physical things that you can see, feel, or touch, or recently into some food chains like Everbowl and Icon Meals and some of those brands that I really like to help either raise capital with them or for them or invest directly into their companies. So in the next 12 seconds, we're going to bring on one of my favorite humans in the world. Our opening speaker is named Jim Kwik. He has an amazing podcast where you can get really great tips, very fast and effective for memory and mindset. He has coached some of the biggest celebrities in the world, some of the most famous business people in the world, but also the masses. And that's what I really truly like. It's great that he's teaching some of the household named amazing people out there, but how much he helps people around the world with his info product courses, his online social media. His real true passion is teaching people to be better. And he has an exciting thing to tell you guys tonight about his book, which just came out. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jim Kwik.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And thank you everybody for showing up today. And I'm ready to jump into this. So thank you. Let's talk about positive mindset. I'm going to go I'm going to take you to another level on this one. Where in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to unlock your limitless mind so you can have a limitless life. Because we know that a limited mind cannot yield, will yield you a limited life, if you will. That a negative mind can't create a positive life. So I'm going to go to this rapid fire. I'm going to ask you to take notes because I'm going to give you a lot of quote unquote quick tips. And right now, I just want to check in with everybody. How's everyone doing? Like, we feel like right now we're going through a transformation, and transformation, this metamorphosis of going, we feel like we're cocooning, and I think it's a powerful metaphor that we all have. We feel like we are contained and we are physically distancing ourselves, and because of it, we might be alone. We might be alone with our thoughts. We might be alone with our doubts. We might be alone with our fears. We might actually feel alone. And so what can you do during this time to be able to hone your mindset so when you come out of this, that you're going to come out faster, smarter, stronger, and overall better, that you're going to emerge like this butterfly so you can soar to new heights? Because I really do believe that difficult times, they can define us. These difficult times can develop us, or these difficult times they can actually develop us. And that's what we're looking for, because they're not going to diminish us, and that's for sure. There's a quote I start the book off, Limitless, with a quote from a French philosopher that says, "Life is the C between the B and the D." Life is the C between B and D. And just a hint, B is birth. So what's D? D stands for death. So what's C? C is choice. Life comes down to a series of choices, the decisions that we make. So right now, I'm going to show you the Limitless model in just one moment. It is a framework, a 3-part framework for learning anything faster. And not only that, but really for unlocking human potential. And I really do believe the infinite or limitless resource we have on planet Earth is the human mind, that the sky is not the limit. It is really, it's our minds that are the limit. There's no limit to our creativity. There's no limit to our imagination. There's no limit to our ability to solve problems. There's no limit to human determination. And so what can we do while we're cocooning and in this place to be able to get the most out of this? And so I'm going to go through 5 really quick C's, and then I'm going to introduce you to Limitless Model. Now, these are 5 choices we can make every single moment, because I do believe that it's these daily decisions, that our life is the sum total of all the decisions we make in our life. So 5 really quick C's. The first C, while we're cocooning to come out of this stronger, faster, smarter, and better, is clarity. With this big global reset and this pause, it gives us time for self-reflection. I think solitude is an amazing opportunity for us to check in with ourselves. Sometimes when we're going 100 miles an hour, it's hard to really evaluate and take a breath in terms of, are we going in the right direction for ourselves? And so the magic question to be able to ask yourself when we're talking about mindset for the first C, is clarity, which is, what's most important to me in life? What's most important to you in life? What's most important to you in your career? What's most important to you in your business? What's most important to you in your relationship? What's most important to you also, in terms of your contribution and your impact? And the other question after you know that is, are your actions aligned with those values? Are your actions aligned with those present values? The second C, I would say, after clarity, is care. We have all heard that self-care is not selfish, right? But I'm not just talking about care, physical care. We all know about physical hygiene. We should be washing our hands. We should be sanitizing everything. But what about your mental hygiene? This phrase social distancing, it's interesting because I think we're physically distancing ourselves, but we're being very social right now. I think people have to be very concerned right now with emotionally distancing themselves or mentally distancing themselves. And so what can you do one thing every single day to add to your self-care? And part of self-care really is drawing borders and boundaries around your time, around your emotions, around the things that are most important to you. Meaning when you say yes to something, make sure you're not saying no to who? To yourself. So we talked about everything in my podcast and a book, from everything from the best brain foods to optimizing your sleep, stress management, things that you know. After that, you have clarity, you have care. I would say contribution. What can you do to be able to contribute? Because people don't know this, but chronic stress shrinks your brain, and chronic fear actually compromises your immune system. And so it makes you more susceptible to flus, to colds, to viruses. And so what can you do to care for yourself? Because your brain has this algorithm, just like Instagram has an algorithm. And you're familiar with it, right? Like if you like every cat post, it's just going to show you more cat posts because that's the algorithm. Well, if you just watch the news all the time and you start training your brain, all you start seeing is what's dark, because your mind starts filtering and it starts showing you the things that you interact and engage with. But that means you're not focusing on opportunity. That means you're not focusing on possibility. It means you're not actually focusing on what you could be most grateful for. So contribution is huge. And I think contribution, is one of those things where it'll get you that third C, contribution. It allows you to get out of fear, because you can't feel service and fear at the same time, right? And so it's the antidote for fear. So you have clarity of care, you have contribution. And then the last two, I would say, next C is creativity. What have you been pausing that you should be creating right now? What videos, what book you need to write? How are you going to be able to express yourself? You might know this, but it was during the Great Plague that William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, where he wrote Antony and Cleopatra. It was during the plague, when they shut down London University, where Isaac Newton had to socially distance himself. He had to go home, and he was sitting underneath a tree, and the apple fell on his head, and he came up with the theories of motion. He came out with the theories of gravity. So what can you create? And then finally, the fifth C is this thing called capability. Capability. I know you have your to-do list, but what's on your to-learn list? What's on your to-learn list? We know that, what entrepreneurs, where I know, how many of you, by the way, are entrepreneurs here, just by show of yeses? Entrepreneurs are those who would be able to create value, right? They'll be able to contribute. They'll be able to solve problems. And when we talk about creativity, the future belongs to the creatives, where jobs, even before this, are going to automation. They're going to artificial intelligence. What makes us valuable today is it's not brute strength, it's brain strength, right? You are paid not for your muscle power, you're paid for your mind power, your ability to create, your ability to solve problems, your ability able to think faster and better. So capability, I believe the number one skill to master in the 21st century is your ability to learn faster. Because if I was your genie, like if there was a genie right now who could grant you any one wish, just one wish, what would you wish for? Just one wish. I'm looking at the comments here. More wishes, right? That would be the obvious thing to do, millions of wishes. Now, if I was your learning genie and I could help you master any one subject or any one skill, what would the equivalent be of asking for infinite wishes? It would be learning what? Learning how to learn. Because if you could learn how to learn, you could grant all of your own wishes. You could apply that towards money, to management, to marketing, to martial arts, to Mandarin, right? You could apply it towards music, anything. Again, we get just the things that start with M, right? And so what can you do to be able to tap into more of your capabilities? And I believe that this is a wonderful time to be able to do skill development. And so you're not shrinking your goals to meet this current situation. You're actually expanding your capabilities to be able to meet those goals, these new dreams. So let me introduce you right now to the limitless model. The limitless model. This is a 3-part framework. I would actually draw this out, 3 intersecting circles. So imagine 3 intersecting circles. Maybe it's like Mickey Mouse, 2 ears intersecting and a face. And I'm going to walk you through this. And this really is the model for not only learning faster, but also unlocking your human potential. And I want you to make this practical. So I want you to think about, let's say, an area where you feel like you're not making progress. What area of your life are you not advancing? Where do you feel like trapped? Like what area, a box that you feel like you're in a box and you're being held back? Is it in your physical health and vitality? Is it in your business? Is it in your income? Is it in your relationship? Is it in what area do you feel like you could be doing more? All right. And so I want you to think about that right now. And you can apply the limitless model, because in that box, there are 3 dimensions that keep you in that box, right? It's 3-dimensional. And these are the same 3 forces that will liberate you out of that box also as well. So first circle is the conversation we're having this evening, or wherever you're watching this right now. This is your mindset. Now, I define mindset as your set of assumptions and your attitudes towards something. Your assumptions and attitudes towards the world. How does the world work? Or attitudes, assumptions about yourself or your own capabilities. What would fall in this circle are things like what you believe is possible, what you believe you are capable of, because you could believe something is possible, but you might think you're not capable of it. What also would fall in this circle is what you believe you deserve, for example. So sneak preview, the third M, because I'm going to give you three M's. I alliterate everything to make it very memorable. The third M are actually methods. And my book, Limitless, was actually something, I know we have a lot of fans that already got this book. This book, Limitless, is actually a textbook on methods, how to read 3 times faster, how to learn languages, how to give a TED talk or a speech from memory, how to remember facts and figures, improve your focus and concentration. But I asked myself this question. I was like, if somebody just found this book, would they be able to implement it? Would they be able to get the results? And here's the thing that I realized, that most people don't. Because the truth is, there's a lie. And in mindset, in my mindset chapter, I talk about lies. And for me, a lie is an acronym, very easy to remember, a limited idea entertained. It's not necessarily the truth, but it is a limited idea that we choose to entertain or we give energy to, right? And it's all BS, just belief systems. One of those lies is knowledge is power, right? You've all heard this before, but is it really? Not really, right? At best, knowledge is potential power. It only becomes power when we what? When we utilize it. But a lot of people, here's the truth. All of the books and the podcasts, the online programs, none of it works unless you work, right? A lot of people are really good at buying books and it sits on your shelf and it becomes shelf help, not self-help. So there's a different skill set of buying books than actually reading those same books. So the last M is methods. And I haven't told you a second M yet. The third M are the methods, but I could teach you a method on how to remember people's names. I think it's the number one business etiquette networking skill there is, because how are you going to show somebody you are going to take care of their business, their future, their finances, their family, their wealth, whatever it is you have to offer them if you don't care enough just to remember what? Their name, right? But the method could be there on how to remember names, right? And we teach like 12 different ways on how to remember people's names. But if your mindset is, I have a horrible memory, or your mindset is, I'm too stupid, then all behavior is belief driven and you're still going to be stuck in that box, even if you have the method. Does that make sense? So I'm going to apply this towards accelerated learning, but you can apply this towards anything. So, and I see a lot of people sharing some of my tips there. It's amazing. So mindset is what you believe is possible. So that's what mindset is. And that's what this session is all about, right? When we're talking about elevator and we're talking about mindset. But you also need a second M, and the second M is motivation. Motivation. And let's talk about a lie or a limited idea entertained when it comes to your motivation. People believe that they have to enjoy that thing in order to be able to be motivated to do it, right? But we know that's not true, because as I coach individuals for the past 28 years, and this is all based on the latest neuroscience applied towards accelerated learning, cognitive performance, but also 28 years of field testing, seeing what works, because I believe genius leaves clues. And I noticed that some people who are extremely motivated, for example, to work out, a lot of them really hate it, but they never miss a day of working out. So it doesn't mean you have to enjoy that actual process. For example, for me, I take a cold shower every single morning. Or if you follow me on Instagram, I take these 5-minute ice baths, right? Completely full of ice, right? And here's the thing. I grew up in the Northeast. I hate the cold, but I am motivated to do it every single time because there's a formula for motivation. I'm going to give it to you. If you procrastinate, if you put things off, there are 3 parts to human motivation. A lot of you are familiar with Limitless, like the movie. How many of you, by a show of yeses, have seen the movie with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro? Right. And so the guy, Bradley Cooper, takes a pill and goes from 0 to hero. He has this incredible memory. He's able to write his book in a handful of days. He has this focus and concentration, right? He's able to learn languages. He can do all these things. And he make really good decisions and solve problems. and he has a surge of motivation. But what happens after 24 hours? It disappears, and his motivation goes back down to zero. That's what most people feel is motivation. They get hyped up in the moment. They go to an event. They get very excited. They wave their hands in the air, and they clap, and they're like, I'm going to change my life. I'm so motivated to do X, Y, and Z. Next day happens, and what happens? They don't do it. So there are three forces. This is the formula for motivation. P times E times S3. P times E times S3. What does the P stand for? Well, I did this mind experiment, and I wanted to figure out what, if I was to build the ultimate motivated human being, what's the first thing this person needs? Number one, the P is purpose. They need a reason to do that thing, because the evidence that you are motivated is not what you say. It's not how you feel. It's if you're doing that thing. That's the evidence, right? So P stands for purpose. I believe reasons reap results. Reasons reap results. That you're only going to be motivated to the point where you have a reason for doing that, and you allow yourself to feel that reason, meaning not just cognitively know the benefits of working out or making or writing that sales letter or sales video or going to network or whatever that action is that you want to be motivated for, but you have to feel the benefits that will come, the rewards that will come from doing that activity, and you also need to feel the consequences of not doing that activity. So that's the P, is purpose. Now, I went to this thought experiment saying, okay, we're building the ultimate motivated human being. If a person just has enough reasons, will they always be motivated? And I thought, no, they're missing something. The E. The E is energy. Because you could have, I'm going to use the example of, let's say, reading. All right, let's say you want to get to be, leaders are readers. And when people see me on Instagram, people ask me this question all the time. How did you meet Oprah and work with Elon and these individuals, like Bill Gates? And I say, we bonded over books, because leaders are readers. And if the average person reads about 2 or 3 books a year, but if you could read a book a week, 52 books a year, right? If somebody has decades of experience, like a lot of the experts or the faculty on this Zoom, if they have decades of experience and you could sit and they put into a book and you could sit down in a few days and read that book, you could download decades into days. And that's the ultimate advantage. But here's the thing. If you don't read every single day, you could have the purpose, the reasons, you could be expert in your field. You could make more money, have greater influence if you could read, have all these distinctions. But if you're lacking the energy, let's say you didn't sleep 2 nights in a row, maybe you ate a big meal and your body's still processing, you might not be motivated to be able to finish working out or reading, right? So you have to be able to tap that, the energy. And we talk about 10 keys for better energy, everything from the best brain foods to managing your stress to optimizing your sleep. Now I went back in my mind, I was like, okay, if you're going to build the ultimate human being that's motivated all the time without exception, if that person just has deep enough purpose, like Start With Why by Simon Sinek, right? You find your why and they have enough energy, will they always be motivated? And I thought, no, there's one more exception. If that goal is too big or it's too intimidating or it's confusing, then they're not going to do it. They're not going to be motivated, meaning that
we have 30 seconds left. I'd love for you if you could explain where people can find you, your book, your social, everything about you and your new book.
Yeah, buddy. The best way is at limitlessbook.com. This is the actual model right here. I'll just show you the model so everybody has the model on them right now. So this is the model. Because where mindset and motivation cross over, you have inspiration. Where mindset and methods cross over, you have ideation. And where methods and motivation cross over, you have implementation. And that sweet spot in between is integration, which is the limitless state.
It's such a pleasure to have you, Jim. It's so fun to see you. Everybody, please go check out his podcast. Follow him on social. Definitely check out his book, limitlessbook.com. Find it on Amazon. Find it on the website. Jim, thank you. It's an honor. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Our next guest is actually the co-founder of 100millionacademy.com, the 100 Million Mastermind Experience. But long before that, he built up a company that's done over $700 million in sales called BioTrust. He also built up one of the biggest email lists on the planet with 19 million people on that list. So that's the business accolades. More importantly, he's absolutely one of the best humans I've ever met in my life. He is my partner in multiple businesses. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Joel Marion.
All right. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, buddy. How are you tonight?
Fantastic.
Always good to see our good friend Jim Kwik.
What a legend, right?
Yes.
You just smile when you see him. You just want to start learning stuff.
Of course. First time I met him, we hit it off, became very quick friends, and it was that genuineness and just that smile that was a big part of just getting that relationship off the ground so fast.
So if you could give everybody a quick 60-second bio, and we'll dive right into some questions.
Sure. You kind of did a great job of that. I've owned a company called BioTrust Nutrition. I've been in the health and fitness space for a little over a decade now. Actually, talk about mindset. My path to where I am today, it comes from a lot of obstacles, a lot of failures, and getting to know as many people as possible, networking my butt off, and finding myself in the right place at the right time. Definitely not necessarily the smartest person, definitely not the most talented person, but work ethic, it put me in a lot of good positions. Partnered with my partner in the supplement industry in 2011, late 2011, and launched in 2012, company BioTrust Nutrition, kind of our claim to fame, or one of those things that we're most noted for is we did $100 million in revenue our first year in business, which was crazy to think that even happened, and even crazier to live through it. So it's definitely a fun time. We've now done over 700 million in sales. We feed a hungry child with every order, so over 4 million orders, over 4 million kids that we've helped feed across America through our partner No Kid Hungry. And I'm just excited to be here, excited to be growing, excited to have a time and an opportunity such as this to pivot the business and sharpen my skill sets and figure out how we can still win in today's environment.
So our focus tonight, actually your idea, is about positive mindsets. Can you explain, you're very faith-based, your podcast is very faith-based, and you bring out some amazing people. Can you talk about why positive mindset is so important?
Well, basically, in life, there's going to be plenty of times where things aren't going to go exactly as we would hope they would. Things are going to go in a way that certainly we never would have asked for them to go. And we're kind of in the middle of that right now, right? But this happens all the time. This isn't the first time this ever happened, right? This is maybe the first time we're dealing with a pandemic of this magnitude, but it's not the first time things didn't work out. And when things aren't going the way that you want them to go, you have to look at, well, what is happening? What is the reality? And then learn to pivot and make adjustments, and you can still thrive in any environment. I truly believe you can thrive in any environment as long as you're willing to examine what's happening, look at what's working, what's not working, and make adjustments and make the necessary pivots. So now more than ever, I would say, times of crisis are the number one times to have a positive mindset, because you can do one of two things. You can say, all right, I didn't ask for these cards to be dealt the way they are, but this is the hand that I'm dealt right now. Us, me and you and 7 billion other people in this world, right? So it's not even one of those things where you got a bad hand. Everyone's kind of got dealing with the same hand here. And you can choose to either say, woe is me, and let your mind go into a very negative place. Maybe somebody lost their job, right? I've talked to a lot of different people throughout this whole experience, and a friend of mine was laid off, out of work. And I said, well, you hated that job anyway, right? And he said, yeah. He's like, I've hated it forever. I'm like, well, now's the perfect time. You have, not only are you not working, but everyone has to stay home. Now's the perfect time to learn some different skills, some new skills, get involved in something that you could actually be passionate about moving forward. Maybe you can learn how to take your passion and turn it into a part-time income, and then eventually a full-time income. No better time than this to do that, right? Or you could say, oh, I'm out of work, got laid off, I can't pay my bills, let me just binge and watch Netflix and, just wait for this to be over and hopefully my creditors will forgive my debt when it's all said and done, right? So a lot of people are you're going to be very proactive, or you're going to be very passive in the way that you deal with this. And I think having a positive mindset to know that whatever hand you are dealt, you can find a way to play that hand in a beautiful way and come out on top. And we just released a podcast. It's called Seize the Opportunity in Crisis. And I really think that everyone has a huge opportunity right now to get better. However long this is going to last, right? I wouldn't have predicted it lasted as long as it is. So let's say it lasts another few weeks, it lasts another few months. I'm not sure. You can either just let time go by, and generally speaking, we all know the expression, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So you can let the time go by. You can end up a lot worse. You can take a number of steps backwards, or you can say, how can I take the next 30 days? And I like taking 30 days as a good time frame, because it's very, it's not too long where it's like, hey, it's, over the next year, what do I want to accomplish? But over the next 30 days, how do I want to become better? How do I want to become better in my business or my career? How do I want to become better in my family life? How do I want to become better with my health? And how do I want to become better with faith? And what I did was when I realized that this was not going to be something that lasted a week, I said, let me put together a 30-day action plan, something that I can do where I have some accountability in place and I have some goals of what I want to accomplish over the next 30 days. Even though we're all dealing with a world pandemic, a global pandemic, doesn't mean that I can't excel during this time, and I can't grow. And then when this is all over, then I'm primed for the biggest success of my career. So what we did is, in business, we made some necessary pivots. Our revenue was down in the beginning of March, and then we got creative and we started saying, how can we service our customers in a way for what they need? At the time, you couldn't even find meat in the grocery stores, right? So we have an amazing protein product and tens of thousands of units in our warehouse. So we decided to do a sale where we gave people a really sweet price where they could go and they go online, they could get the protein shipped directly to their door. They didn't have to deal with the lines or the rationing or the potentially putting themselves at risk by going out to the grocery stores. So that did exceptionally well, because we said, how can we service our customers and position the products that we already sell, but in the current landscape of what's going on in the world? So that's exactly what we did, and that was one of our most productive sales, and we did that for 3 or 4 other products. So instead of revenue being down like it was in the middle of the month, once March ended, it was actually our best month of 2020 so far. In my family, I said, all right, I'm going to have a lot of extra time to spend with my family. So how am I going to make the most of that? Well, I said, well, I'm going to make sure my 6-year-old learns how to ride her bike with no training wheels, so we can actually start doing bike rides, because my 9-year-old learned, but my 6-year-old hadn't. So no, we got all the time in the world right now. So within the first couple of days of quarantine, my 6-year-old was able to ride bike without training wheels. And now we're running all around. Right before I came and got on this call, took about a 45-minute bike ride with my kids and my mother-in-law. And then we stopped at the beach and watched the sunset. And then I came back here, I logged on to Zoom, and here I am. Right. So I'm maximizing the time with my family. We're doing puzzles. We have family movie night and all different kinds of things that we're doing, because I felt that it was important that I want to use this time to get closer and grow my family unit. And whether you have kids or whether it's you and your spouse, there's ways that you can now spend even more dedicated time together than before. When I talked about pivoting before, like I'm a person of faith, and let's talk about church for a second. So we normally go to church as a family on Sundays, but that is not even a possibility right now. I mean, in many states, it's illegal for the churches to gather because they have, limits on the number of people that can come together and meet. So what you're seeing churches do is pivoting online. And some churches are doing it well, and some churches aren't doing it so well. And guess what's happening? The churches that are doing it really well, a lot of people are running to them to get what they need because people are used to having this as part of their weekly routine with church. And then it gets kind of taken away, And some churches are just like, oh, well, I guess we're not going to be able to meet for a while. And other people are like, well, let's figure out how we can do this and do it well and have it be high production quality and all this, and still deliver an amazing experience on a Sunday morning, but in a virtual event. Dan, you've done this with Elevator Nights, right? So there's so much opportunity. Granted, our last 100 Million Mastermind got postponed, but now we have weekly events with amazing lineups of speakers because of what you decided to do and how you decided to pivot. So it's a beautiful time to pivot. You can go deeper in your faith. You can go deeper in your health. Let's say, listen, I know so many people who are choosing to, first of all, everyone's stocking up on all the comfort foods, right? And all the packaged goods and highly processed carbohydrates and all that stuff. And it's very easy to slide into, to fall into that, because that is what's available in the grocery stores. And a lot of the healthy foods are bought up, but you can still find a way to order things online and eat healthy, right? So I put together this 30-day action plan, and I'll just read off part of it right now, just give people an idea. This was my action plan. I said, I'm going to be up at 7 a.m. even with my kids off school. Normally I'm up early because I love to take my kids to school. But when my kids aren't in school, I tend to sleep in. So I said, listen, this is going to be extended no school, so I can't be sleeping in every single day. So I'm going to make sure I'm up. And then I went and got accountability, and I texted one of our good friends, Craig Valentine, and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to be up at 7 every day. So I'm going to text you when I wake up every morning, and you're going to hold me accountable, right? So get accountability. Then I said I wanted to get at least 30 minutes of exercise every day. I want to get at least 30 minutes outside every day. And many days I'm getting much more than that, but you kill two birds with one stone. Get outside and get some exercise, right? I want to stay spiritually fit by doing church online. Two of my favorite churches that have amazing online experience are Hillsong East Coast. If you go to YouTube on a Sunday morning, you type in Hillsong East Coast, you'll see my friend Carl Lentz, or Elevation Church and my friend Stephen Furtick. They're both doing an incredible job during this time and servicing really the world. Online is growing so much because these guys are doing just so well. And I said, fun activity with the kids every day, 1,000-piece puzzle, family movie, family walk, play outside, scavenger hunt, all this stuff. And then I just said, no processed food, period. So every single thing that I had already listed, business, career, family, health, I just said simple ways that I can get better over the next 30 days. And I put that into place. And I think that's a wonderful way that people can make sure that you're progressing during this time instead of going backwards. And it's all about the lens that you look through. It's all about perspective, right? And we can choose to look at this thing as the worst thing that ever happened, and 2020 is just going to be a year of going backwards. Or we can take the hand that we're dealt and the position that we're in, find the opportunity, look at the fact that we have a lot of extra time. Some people didn't ask for a lot of extra time, but you got it. What are you going to do with it?
So what I'd like to do is give out 3 prizes right now. One of them is going to be Jim Kwik's Limitless book that he's actually going to autograph. One of them is going to be a 100millionacademy.com entrepreneur box. It's a wooden crate with $500 with the supplies. And then Joel is going to donate a $500 box from BioTrust full of a bunch of stuff he can explain. We're going to pick 3 winners. All you got to do is go into the go into the comment section, answer what was the revenue that Joel did in the first year with BioTrust. Type in what was the revenue that BioTrust did in the first year. There's a lot of answers coming in.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to pick out one winner for Jim Kwik's autograph book, one winner of the 100millionacademy.com box, and one winner will get $500 of supplies from Joel at BioTrust. Okay. So we got 5 minutes left. I want to ask Joel another question. Through this journey, this last year particularly, you've built up multiple businesses. You've launched this podcast you were number 1 last week, and there's a million podcasts and you were number 1. Like, I don't think people realize how hard it is to be. How do you choose your time throughout the day? Right now it's a little bit different. Let's say we're past quarantine. How do you choose and section out your time throughout the day separate from quarantine time? Well,
I always try and say at the end of the day, I want to feel like I did something, right? So I reverse engineer that and say, what do I want to accomplish? So in the evening, I found this simple ritual really, really powerful. And this is not, earth shattering, but a lot of people aren't doing it. So this is encouragement to go do it. Okay. Write down your plan for the next day, and don't get I know people who literally have their day sectioned out every 15 minutes of exactly what they're doing the next day, right? That's way too overwhelming for me, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for flexibility, and I need flexibility in my schedule because most of the time it's not going to go necessarily exactly how I wanted it to go. I'm going to get pulled on a phone call here. There's going to be some problem here or whatever. That's what happens when you're running 4 or 5 different businesses. But for me, if I have 3 major obstacles that I want to get done, and I tackle those things in the first half of the day, even if the afternoon goes to complete crap, I know that I got those 3 things done and I won the day. If that's all I got accomplished today would be a win. So pick those 3 things, and when you're picking them, say, what's really going to move the needle? I'm not talking about, take a shower. Like, yes, that's great. But what 3 things do you want to get done the next day in order for you to say, I'm really proud of what I accomplished today, and I'm glad that I got those 3 things done. And then you can audit yourself. Every day, do I get those 3 things done? I would say 90% of the time I do. And the 10% of the time that I don't beat myself up over it, but I just carry over. I still pick 3 things for the following day, and then I try and get done those that 1 or 2 things that I may have missed from the day before. And it's all about getting things done and checking them off a list. You build confidence with yourself when you do what you say you're going to do.
How do you deal with negativity, whether it's on social media or with people, especially during these tough times? How do you deal with negative thoughts or negative people trying to come in?
There's always going to be negative people. It's interesting because I follow. I feel like I follow probably people who 98% of them are positive all the time, right? So I don't even really see this whole negative world that's out there on social media. Someone said, oh, social media is nothing but negativity. I'm like, oh, it's nothing but positivity for me because I chose to follow all people who are positive all the time, right? But then I will see from time to time someone makes a political post or some sort of controversial post or something like that. And then you see how everyone just kind of reacts. And it's almost like when I see negativity, I just stop and I, pray for people. I'm like, man, because it's so easy to go negative and just to waste your time on things that don't really matter. But if you are somebody who sees something like that and here, yeah, I could jump on that thread and I could see somebody who said something that I don't even agree with. But guess what? I don't know who they are. I don't really give a crap to prove them wrong. It's not worth it. And I'm not going to. There's nothing I can say on the internet to somebody who has their mind made up that is really going to change their mind. So I'm just going to try and put more positivity out there. So when I see negativity, I try to counteract it with more positivity. And I think that's a great way to not get caught up in negativity because it's very easy to get sucked in. But if you feel the urge to get sucked into the negativity, I'd say, hey, shift and do something positive immediately.
That's great. So we have 1 minute left. Where can people find your podcast, your world, your social? Where can people find everything about you so they can carry on with what your positive messages you put out there?
Yeah, you check Born to Impact podcast out on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of the popular podcast platforms where available. You can follow me on Instagram at Joel Marion. Our supplement company website is biotrust.com. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this, guys. So many people are out there right now, and you're putting something off. Okay, maybe you got into a little slump, and quite frankly, I got into a slump myself this past week for a few days. And it was a good friend who said, listen, do whatever it is that you don't want to do right now, go do it right now. Just get over that hump. And as soon as I did that, I felt confident again. I had a win. And then I was able to pull myself out of a slump quickly. So if you're feeling that you're in a slump, think about what that number one thing that you just want to delay, that you want to procrastinate on, and get it done. As soon as this call's over or first thing tomorrow morning, make that number 1 on your action list. Crush that and get back on track because you're only 1 win away from being a winner.
That was awesome. Well, Joel Marion, thank you so much for being here. I talk to you every day, so I'll see you soon.
All right. God bless you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So our next guest, his literal initials and everything he posts all day long is PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. He is all about the mindset. Mr. Bobby Castro sold his company with a $1 billion valuation. He's built up a $300 million apartment portfolio, but more importantly, he spreads the most positive messages I've ever seen in my life. It is so good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Bobby Castro.
Thank you, Dan, man. Thank you again. Very grateful for your friendship and the kind words. Thank you.
So if you could, give everybody a quick bio, and I'd love to just dive into questions with you.
Yeah. Well, Bobby Castro, I failed at the 3rd grade, got through barely the 9th grade, through a lot of struggles, a lot of unbelievable struggles, a lot of negativity along the way, a lot of dark moments in my life. And fast forward, I was able to build a net worth of $300 million personal net worth. Recently sold my business for $1 billion valuation June of last year. So about maybe 8-9 months from, as of today, have over a $300 million real estate portfolio. Really consists of apartments, multifamily assets. And these provide my family and I over $300,000 of positive cash flow every single month. And my wife and I is Sophia, which will be married 30 years, man. 30 years this October 6th. We've been building this real estate portfolio, and I call that stack and rack. Stack means you save with all the hard-earned efforts, and you respect every penny. You don't take anything for granted, and you rack it. You invest it as you go. And that's what we did, man. And what I'm doing now, Dan, just sharing right from my heart. No motives. I don't want anything from nobody. It's all good intentions, because I wish there was another Bobby Castro out there that maybe gave me some reminders. That's all I'm doing, is giving people reminders that they already know, but they seem like they're stuck, that they just can't stay with it. So that's a quick bio of who I am. And I never raised any capital, had no investors, including our real estate portfolio, just really every day, all day, every day with effort. And I didn't waste all that energy begging for money, man. I put my efforts to work.
So why is PMA so important to you?
It's absolutely everything, so much that it's trademarked, not for business purposes, because it's truly like my child, and it stands for positive mental attitude. And that's all day, every day. That is what got me where I am right now today. I had so much negativity in my life, so much drama. I had a big family, beautiful family. My father had 14, 15 children. I have an incredible mother. She was a full-time waitress, 3 full-time jobs. Before Denny's, it used to be called Sambo's, and then she had a restaurant afternoon shift and then a night shift at Roney Pub Steakhouse in Miami Beach. So every time I used to come home, man, it was a real negative situation, not because my family was bad. The struggle was just very hard, and I had to stay positive. And every time I put my effort to work, I seemed like I was getting positive results. And then the non-refundable minutes, another item I have trademarked, I started not getting distracted. And when I say not getting distracted, just focus on getting value, Bobby. And that's all I was doing, getting value. If I having a conversation, speaking to a customer, speaking to someone, making love to my wife, loving my children, speaking to just give value, give value, give value, and don't expect anything in return. And slowly this compounded dividend in life just came at me. And when I started just realizing, my gosh, because I'm not getting distracted, I'm around total positive energy, I am always giving value, giving energy, and I'm receiving it back. And it's like a drug, man. And besides that, I'm financially free because of it. So it's everything to me, man. I treat people with kindness, respect. I want to give that energy because I want it back.
So in these times, we've heard a lot of stories about people that are quarantined with their family and they're feeling tension or pressure. You've built up, more importantly than your apartment portfolio and business, you built up a 30-year marriage. Can you talk about working with your wife and how do you keep that fresh?
Yeah, incredible, man. We call it, we fertilize our relationship every single day. Again, giving, receiving. Because when you give something great and you receive something great back, you become obsessed about it. And the quick text messaging, I love you, I can't wait to see you. All these things, we just keep playing this tennis between each other. And Sophie and I, man, 30 years together. She was only 18 years old. And we were, Priscilla, our daughter, who's 29 years old, we were pregnant before we got married. And we figured it out along the way without knowing we were figuring it out. Again, just giving off good energy, making you feel good. And when you make someone feel good, i.e. a marriage, a customer, a business partner, or anybody, guess what? It automatically rebounds to you. I know it sounds corny. It sounds wicked and crazy. But man, it is so powerful if you stay with it and you become obsessed with it. You know, it's crazy. I was in the Florida Keys and just saying good morning to people that normally people don't say good morning. When you say good morning, guess what? 9 out of 10 times, oh, good morning. If you never say good morning, it'll never happen.
All right. I have a question for everybody out there watching. We're going to pick 5 winners. How many years has Bobby been married to his wife? Okay. Once you answer, sorry, we're going to actually have to do this because there are going to be too many answers here. You got to put your Cash App code next to it, and we're going to pick 5 of the winners. So put your Cash App code next to how many years Bobby and his wife have been married. And then we're going to pick out 5 winners, and I'm going to start Cash Apping them now. Okay, so next question is, how do you decide what you focus on each day? When you have your real estate, you have your life, you have investments, like how do you decide how to make your day work?
Yeah, so right now, what I'm doing in this crisis, I'm focusing on top high-level priorities. And again, how you do that is not get distracted. And the priorities is what is the positives right now, Bobby, in all your business lines and all your investments. We know the negativity, you know, anybody can see that. It's clear as day. But what are the positives? So what I do is I focus on the positives because you will figure out solutions where you'll take this massive urgent action and it keeps you productive, guys. You want to continue moving forward, and how you move forward, focus on the positives, not the negatives. Because when you focus on the positives, I'm saying every day, my gosh, I can do it this way. Well, I got to adapt. I got to shift. I got to change it this way. So I'm on high alert that we all have right now a lot of anxiety. We're very anxious, even including me, man. I am a racehorse that's just want to race all day. And right now, it seems like I can't race, but I want to race. So what do? I have to look at the positive. That is my negative. But what is the positives? Strategies. What should I be doing next? What did I miss? What did I do wrong? Why is this situation the way it is? How can I make it better? So I like to always focus on being productive and efficient in high-level priority items, because the small items just drain you.
All right, I cashed out 2 winners so far. I'm going to cash out 3 more. Sorry, I like to do it live right here. Okay, so last question, and then I'm going to ask you where people can find you. Sorry, actually, no, we got more time. Great, perfect. We got more time. From a business perspective, how do you stay positive on the business side when there's struggles or situations that come up like the coronavirus?
What worked for me handsomely was to focus on my staff. And they were not employees. These were partners, I called. These are these individuals that mean everything to this organization and the customer. So in these crises, and we went through this in 08, 09, when the world came crashing down, we really took deep dives in our culture, our people, our partners. Those are your employees. Right now, if you're a business owner, focus on your people. It's so important, because without having that morale, having that culture, you have nothing. So if you're a business owner, big, small, large, right now, what worked for Bobby Castro in 08 and 09 was immediately massive urgent action by giving PMA to my organization. And I focused on the organization, not the issues, because you have to understand, guys, there's a other end of the stick here. We will come out of this. So you want to be prepared. Focus on your organization. There's a lot of things you can't control. Just control what you can control.
Oh, that's a really good one. Okay, so each time you put out your social media content, you were consistent with it about adding PMA, talking about positive attitude. I understand that you trademarked it and you're passionate about the brand. Why do you want to spread it so much? What does it mean to you? What is like the butterfly effect of that?
Well, what you see now on social media, believe it or not, 600 co-workers I had, This is what I did all day, every day. I spent a good amount of my time, again, with my organization. So what I simply did was this social media really helped me get through this transition, because I was somewhat kind of, not depressed, but I was part of this organization for 20 years. And from one day to the next, I completely sold it. And I didn't realize the effect it took upon me. And the social media, because my son, Brandon, I have the best son, man. He's 23 years old, Brandon. He said, Dad, get on social media, man. Do what you have been doing at BHG. And it has helped me. And I feel good, man. When I get a DM, Dan, and I'm hearing some awful stories and I'm able to really touch one's life, I can't tell you, that is a major turn on for me. I get value from it by giving value. And because of it, I met individuals like yourself. I made some incredible investments I'm really excited about. And, the return on it is huge. So this is what I did in my organization.
I love that. All right, so we paid Gio Gallegos, we paid Conrad, we paid Janelle, we paid Simon Sue, and I'm going to pick a couple more winners and do a little bit more than 5 people. Okay. It's just so exciting when I talk to you. How do you decide who to invest in? You often say you want to find another Bobby Castro to invest in, and you've literally gone through DMs, you've had people message you, you've met with people at live events. How do you decide who you're going to cut a check to?
So I like relationships. I think relationships are just so critical. It's more powerful than currency. If you're able to surround yourself with awesome energy, awesome information that has good intentions, has no motives, they understand the power of scale, that it takes others, just not you, not me, not a selfish person. It takes others to become really wealthy, because you need to make others wealthy. So I like to take my time on relationships, get to know the individual, understand, do they have the same core values as I do? Do they understand the magnitude and the power of scale? Do they treat people kind? How are they in the organization? Are they able to build teams? Are people willing to follow them? Are they not do they act like they're the smartest person in the room? Are they willing to surrender to their weaknesses and bring others that have better strengths? And I look for that, and it all comes down to the jockey. And I'm excited, about a few investments I made, and it reminds me. A couple of them really remind me of myself, that they're so excited about their business and they understand the scale, and they're willing to listen to others that actually have done it. So that's big on relationships. Is everything for me.
That's awesome. Elizabeth Lazo, you got to complete your payment. I just paid you. You got to accept it. Okay.
Awesome.
So we got 2 minutes left. Tell us what you see the summer of 2020 as people are wondering what to do and how to adjust to the new world.
Yeah, there's going to be amazing opportunities, guys. Unfortunately, crisis. This is my fourth crisis I've gone through in my adult life. In 08, 09, I've been through it. And it created an amazing takeoff from my company, because, again, we looked at the positives, and you will start being different. You will do things differently. Your strategies will change. You will adapt. You will see, because you're so uncomfortable, it forces you to change. But this is the secret. You got to keep changing. A lot of us change once or twice and they get stuck there. You got to forever change. It's a value add in life. There's never a ceiling. Don't ever stop changing or evolving. And this is what we're all going through. This is a change. Change with it. Change with it, grow with it, adapt with it. There'll be industries changing to new industries because of this. So unfortunately, it's a lot of people are going some awful pain out there, but I promise you, stay positive. Do not get distracted. Do not dive so much into that TV. Start reading. Have some alone time, because when we're alone, we never lie to ourselves. Start writing down who am I going to change out of my life? Not that they're bad people. I just don't have time for them, because I want to be forward. This is a new chapter. We have a new chapter coming about.
So where can people find you on social media? What do you want people to do out there in this new time?
Well, my son created the Instagram account, Official Bobby Castro. And if you like my stuff, man, I'm doing this from my heart. I'm expecting nothing in return. All I'm saying, if you like it, give me a heart that you like it, because it makes me just keep going. I was only going to do this for 6 months, Dan, and I told my son, that's it. We have our investments to take care of. I'm probably maybe 10 months into the deal already because I keep getting these hearts. He's done a Facebook, Bobby Castro, or BobbyCastro.com. I don't know where this is going, but I am getting a lot of hearts, and I am touched because I know for a fact I am touching people's life. I'm hearing their horrible stories, and I message everyone back. That is me, and I'm obsessed of giving that value.
I truly appreciate you being here tonight. Again, I'm probably going to ask you to come back multiple times a month during this quarantine.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Everybody say bye to Bobby Castro.
Thank you. Much love. PMA.
Talk to you soon. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Prince EA. You have seen this gentleman. I'm positive you've seen him because he's gotten 1 gazillion views on social media. That's the actual number. 1 gazillion. You can look it up. So I'm going to let him give his bio. I want you guys to welcome him on here, and I really want to dive into questions. Please welcome Mr. Prince EA.
Dan, what's up, man? So happy to be here. First, can you hear me okay? The sound's good?
Yeah. I like the room you're in. You got like a whole like a video game room, like a e-gaming arena.
This is what I shoot my direct-to-camera videos in, man. I got only the best for you.
I love this.
I got the lighting up here. We're good.
This is great.
But you got a nice room, too.
So if you could, give us some background.
Happy to be. You say that again?
If you could give us some background about how you got to before you got to a gazillion views.
Well, honestly, before I got to a zillion views, I was searching. I was searching for happiness. I think like everybody watching this we all want the same thing, no matter what industry or field you're in, no matter what race, color, or creed you are, we all want the same thing, and that's happiness. And I was at a point in my life where, I started off in hip hop, and hip hop wasn't, I was mildly successful. I had worked with guys like Ludacris and DJ Khaled and performed on big stages, but I was miserable. And I was miserable because I kept comparing my position to other artists that were in my field. Right. And even though I was semi-successful, I would always say, like, why is he more successful? Why is he on the Billboard? Why is he, doing a world tour and I'm not? And so this comparing mind, it led me into states of deep depression. And I was just unsatisfied. And to make a long story short, I quit everything despite, what my friends and family told me. They said, don't quit. But I quit. I started reading everything I could on happiness. That goes from psychotherapy to positive psychology to, Indian philosophy and spirituality to Western. I dug deep to all the ancient traditions. And I realized one thing, Dan, and that's happiness is not out there. Happiness is inside of you. And Wayne Dyer, rest in peace, he once said, when you change the way you look at things, those things you look at will change. And so I think tonight we're talking about perspective. We're talking about a positive mindset. And that's in your hands. That's in your control. And so once I realized this, I realized that I had a great power already within, and I didn't have to be a victim of my circumstances. I could create my own reality. Right. And so I just wanted to serve at that point. I had made some deep discoveries about who I was at a deep level. And I just wanted to share that with a lot of other people that might have been going through similar things, similar states of mood, depression, sadness, anxiousness, not knowing what you should do in life. Is there something more than just the fame? All these things that I think everybody gets to a point they're going to face it, So I kind of faced it early. And now I started creating content about some of these topics, how to forgive, how to love. I did videos on climate change, real passionate projects that were really meaningful. And so I went from, 20,000 views to 20 million views. I went from 100,000 views to 100 million views and then billion views. And I think it all comes down to one thing. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. And I think if we can create as a creator, if we can be creators from the heart, from a true place of authenticity and positivity, then that's going to reach a lot of people. And I think we're in a state where people need it the most.
Absolutely. So last week I was scrolling through social media and I saw Jennifer Lopez posted your video. What was so compelling that somebody who already makes great content decided to repost Prince EA's content to her gazillion followers?
Wow. Wow. That's the question, right? That's the question I've always tried to figure out is how do you create content that's shareable? And I think in order to do that, it has to be emotional and it has to be real. Like I said, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. This was a message that I dug deep, like the state of the world was in a lot of fear. I call it the F virus, the fear virus, which is far more contagious than COVID-19. And it's been here forever. And, I think I put it in a creative package. I've kind of understood a formula over the years of how to do it, how to be creative and to make things that people like to see and that's entertaining to them. But I got to embed the message with love. People must get tired of it by now because every single video is about the same thing. It all comes down to love. Love is the answer to every problem we're going to face today.
So many times on social media, I comment that. I say love is the answer because I just think whenever I see people on social media, couples or families, I write that because it is. Like we see so many random things on social and so many repetitive things that when we do see love, that's like the first thing that comes to my mind. So what would you say to people now when they're feeling like they're in dark times or the people around them are feeling like very intense or dark around them? How can they create either a positive mindset for themselves or try to block out the negativity?
Yeah, it all starts with you. Your input determines your outlook. Scientists, quantum physicists have understood one thing. There is no one objective world out there. There are many worlds. Each individual person is living in their own specific reality tunnel. And so if you want to change the world, if you want to change the energy of the world, you have to first start with the energy inside of you. And I think your input determines your outlook. It's so simple. What are you taking in? Are you taking in the news with fear? Are you taking in good information like this, like other platforms, other inspirational people right now? It's food. It's nutrition, right? It comes in. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said you are who you are and where you are because of what's been going into your mind. And you can change who you are and where you are by changing what's going into your mind. So during this time, the number one thing you can do is to consume positivity, to consume good, nutritious sustenance in the form of information and passion. That's the number one thing. Number two you can do, because sometimes a lot of motivational and inspirational speakers, they talk about the mind, but they don't talk about the body connection. The mind and body are connected. So listen, if you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you're going to be stressed out. I don't care what meditation you do. I don't care what positive mindset affirmation you do. You got to get sleep. You got to stay hydrated. You got to put good quality food into your system in order to maintain a healthy, happy well-being.
So for the people watching out there, how can they be like you? How can they build up their social media? Maybe not to a gazillion views, but how do they get that first 1,000 views, that first 10,000 views?
Wow, good question. Timing. Timing is everything. And I think if you're the first to create content about a specific subject, you're going to get the views. You're going to come up first in the searches. And you also have to put passion into it. You can't just do what everybody else is doing. You gotta show something different. When I create my content, my big content, I ask myself this one question. And this question has led me to over 1 billion views. I ask myself, if this was the last video that I'm ever going to create, what am I going to say? If this is the last video and then I'm dead, what am I going to say? Usually, if you can do that, your heart is going to come out. And people are going to notice that on a qualitative level. People are going to see that. So I think when people see that, they'll see the passion in you. And like I said from the start, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And so when you have that passion inside of you, when you put it into your content, it's going to get out there.
Are there certain social media platforms that you focus on, or are you on all the social media platforms?
Yeah, I'm on all of them. I know you're a big TikTok guy. I got on there several months ago. Facebook has been huge for me. Facebook, I'm at like 20 something million community, which is amazing. YouTube is at about 5 or 6 million. Instagram is big too. I focus on these top 3: Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, but I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on TikTok. But believe it or not, I'm not a social media guy. I'm not vlogging. I'm not always checking things. I live a very quiet existence because I know that what I really want to do is bigger than that. It's bigger than just being an influencer. And I also value my own peace of mind. And I know a lot of creators, man, a lot of the ones that put on a positive, happy face, when you get to talk to them behind the scenes, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. So I try to always keep it real and maintain that authenticity. And if I can't do that, I'll quit.
So you have this big megaphone now. You can turn something on and spread a message. That's a lot of power. How do you use your power for good? Yeah,
every piece of content that I post, I have my team actually. This is kind of our captain's intent. Will this piece of content make somebody's day better? This is kind of the through line that all of my pieces do. But for me, I don't take on the responsibility. I'm not Atlas holding the world on my shoulders. But I just try to do the best that I can, and I try to serve, because I think service is why we're here. We're wired to serve. We're wired to help people. And I think that my success has been testimony to that service. So I just got to continue doing that. And I got to cut through the BS too, man, because I see a lot of content out there that, I'm not personally a fan of. And I think it digs people deeper into situations as opposed to freeing them. For me, I want to free people. I don't just want 1 million followers. I want to eventually create 1 million teachers, people that they themselves can have that effect on another million. And then the effect can be exponential.
That's fantastic. The reason I always post about my charity stuff, I've actually never raised money from the public. My charity, for 8 years, I throw charity events. I post about my charity. I cover all the charity expenses. I fund it myself. But all I'm trying to do is have people replicate my charity. Go make your own Thanksgiving food drive. Go make your own toy drive. I make backpacks for the homeless. You go make backpacks for the homeless. You don't need to donate to me. I want people to replicate what I'm doing. I love that message that you're saying, that you just want to spread that message out there. Okay, so we have a couple minutes left. How can people filter out that bad stuff? The noise, the media, the things that you're talking about. I noticed that Joel said the same thing. How can people just get that out of their mind more?
Well, first you got to audit your day. Right. When you wake up, you got to just go through your whole day almost like it's like you're a business, right? What's your schedule for the day? And when you wake up, the first thing you shouldn't do is look at your phone. That's the first thing. You need to have that time for yourself, for reflection, for gratitude. I always tell people, great. You ever seen the movie Limitless, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
With the pill? Gratitude is the limitless pill, and it's free. Gratitude is the healthiest human emotion known to man. It changes everything. And if you can maintain a state of gratitude, because I say the word positivity, but really positivity is a byproduct of gratitude. The grateful mind is, I believe, one of the highest states of consciousness. And so the more we say thank you, the more we can say thank you throughout our day, the more we're going to naturally filter out things, and the more attention we're going to focus on our inner selves, our inner beings. So there's an outward environment that needs to be changed, right? Are there toxic things that trigger you in your environment? Is there a person that keeps calling you? Is there an Instagram page that makes you look at it with a mindset of want, of need, of desire, of unfulfilledness? Is that what you're following on social media? If so, that's a trigger for you. Remove it. Mute them. If they're your friend, just mute them. So you got to audit your whole day, audit your whole life, really. I think if you truly want to take advantage of some of these concepts that I'm speaking about, because if you don't program your life, then the world's going to program it for you.
Wow, that's fantastic. All right, so where can everybody find you before we wrap up?
Prince EA, youtube.com/Prince EA. Instagram is Prince_EA. I'm usually on Instagram the most. I check messages there. So if anybody wants to reach out, shoot me a DM from there.
Awesome. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. I'll see you on social
You too,
media.
man. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for what you do. I really, really appreciate you, man. Everything.
Thank you. All right. Our next guest, we have Pete Vargas ready? All right. Pete is a wonderful human. He is very, very inspirational in my life. He helped sell out 25,000 stages, helping put speakers on stages all over the world. He helped with our mastermind, the 100 Million Mastermind Experience. He's a part of our group. He's actually spends the time and energy to come with us to our different events. Really means a lot to us. He's going to give more background. Right now, he's got his own summit going on. He's got like, 70 or 80,000 people registered for his virtual summit. It's amazing. Please welcome Mr. Pete Vargas.
Dan, man, thanks for having me, dude. I'm stoked to be here, and you're one of my favorite people, man. So thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Could you give everybody the quick 60-second bio? Because I got plenty of questions for you.
Yeah, man. First off, if you really want to see Prince's best video, go watch the video "Why Most People Die Before 25." It's one of my favorite videos. The guy has made a big impact on my life. But listen, I believe that people have messages to share with the world. I believe that right now more than ever with what's going on in our world, people have powerful stories to be shared. And I think there's more problems in our world than there ever been before. And I think your viewers have the answer to that. And 20 years ago, my life was impacted by one person who was courageous to share their story. Tomorrow's the anniversary of Columbine, the school shooting. One of the first victim killed, her dad shared a message in my hometown about her death and about how she lived for compassion and love. My dad heard that message, and it prompted him to ask me for forgiveness for the father that he had been to me growing up, and asked me for a second chance to do things right. And since that day, man, we've committed our lives to putting the most powerful messages and messengers on physical and digital stages all across the world, the White House, Oprah, many others. And so we get to work with a lot of cool people, but I'm really proud to get to work with what I call the best kept secrets, who have something big for the world that they're trying to take to the world.
And so you actually teach speakers how to be better as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we teach them how to communicate like Prince is talking about, from love. How do you start with the heart? How do you close with the heart? How do you teach? How do you provide value? That's the first piece. We teach them how to get their message out there, even if nobody knows their name. And we show them how to actually grow a business doing it. We get to work with a lot of folks, helping them understand how to build their business or their movement doing it. So yeah, that's what we do, man.
If somebody here was watching, what are a couple of tips you would tell them if they wanted to get on that stage for the very first time?
If you can provide value and you can show somebody that you can solve a problem for their audience, Dan, they want you on their stage. And so listen, I was just on Grant Cardone's stage a couple of months ago. I was the one Mexican that nobody knew. Like, nobody knew my face. Everybody else, they knew. Nobody knew me. Why would he? Or I'm about to be on a webinar with 50,000 people in 2 weeks. Why would that guy bring me on? Like, I'm not a household name. Nobody knows me. It's because people are looking for folks that can help bring a powerful message and solve a problem for their community, man. So that's what it's about, bro. It's about helping people solve problems and serve them, man. Serve them. That's why Prince is blowing up online, is he serves people all day long.
So what if somebody is nervous to get on stage? What can you talk about the mindsets for them not to be nervous to get up there?
So today, my wife got on her very first stage. It was we had 3,000 people streaming today, and she was online. And I just told her, babe, you just look at that camera and recognize that on the other side are a lot of people who need to hear what you have to say. And dude, that's what she did. She spoke to one person. So whether you're getting on, so first off, I always say, like, get really clear on the message that you want to present. Like, get really, really clear. Practice low stakes, dude. Practice in your kitchen. Practice at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Practice on your wife, your kids, your spouse, your friends. Practice with low stakes. And then the most important thing is, when you get up there, have a pre-game routine and remind yourself that it's not about you. It's about the people that you're about to go share your message with. When you shift out of that mindset, you go from a selfish mindset to a selfless mindset, and you're reminding yourself that you got something that can change their lives. And then the most important for me is, when I get on a big stage, dude, I look to the left, I look in the middle, and I look at the right, and I find one person. And all day long, I look them deep into their eyes, and I don't even worry about what's behind me, man. So that's what I would say. I would say that don't let your introvert side of you prevent you from getting that message out there. Today, my wife shared her message, man, and dude, people were in tears. And it was the first time she's ever shared her story, man.
How can someone craft their story for their first speech?
Man, I think it's about being authentic and real, man. Like when I share my story, it's just my signature story has to do with my pops and me and reconciling that. And people just want real, man. They want authentic. They want to know, here's the problem. Here's what most people try to do. Here's where they make a mistake. One, they either try to start with the head. I don't care if you're a parent or you're a speaker. You try to go right to the head and you try to tell people what to do. Like, hey, this is what you do. Whether you're trying to help them build a funnel or you're trying to get them to take action or you're trying to help them with their mindset, it doesn't matter. They either go for the head and start with the head by speaking to their minds like, hey, you got to do this. Or the other thing they do is they walk out there and there's like an arrogance to it. And I believe that how you grasp people is you craft the story in a way that will speak right to their heart. And this is what people want to know right now in today's day and time. You can't talk the way we talked 3 weeks ago. Like the people who are talking that are takers, that are arrogant, like that are tone deaf, man, when we come out on the other side of this, dude, they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble because of the fact that they're not relating to where people are at today. This is what people want to know today when you craft your story. They want to know that you've walked in their shoes before. They want to know that you're at where they're at. But they also want to know that you've done something or gone somewhere that they desire to go. And so, Dan, like when I share a story right now, dude, it's not that, oh, I got a 8-figure company or I work with, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and all these people. Like, that's not what I say. I say, guys, I understand what's going on in your world. In the month of March and April, we lost $4 to $5 million of top line money. We went 3 weeks without one sale after having a record-breaking January and February. No sales, millions of dollars. One moment I had a 9 in my mind after I listened to a little Prince or a little TD Jakes or somebody, I was at a 9, but the next moment I was at a 2. Like instantly it shifted. So I know exactly where you're at. And when you can connect with people where they're at, all of a sudden their hearts, dude, they're open. But I also want to take them on a journey of where we've gone because we didn't stop there. Like the biggest piece of advice I can give to people right now is don't freeze and don't retreat. Don't freeze, don't retreat. Right now is a time to pivot. A time to pivot and serve more powerfully than you've ever served. And so that's now I get to take them to say, listen, we pivoted. And in 1 week of pivoting, Dan, we went from no customers and millions of dollars lost to thousands and thousands of customers in a few short weeks. Like now the difference, if I would have started up here, nobody can relate to that. But I started where I'm at, just where they're at in their shoes. So as you share your story, like the critical thing to do is understand to walk in people's shoes, but also help them understand that you want to take them somewhere where they truly desire to go, Dan. It's both of those that are critical and connecting with their hearts, man.
So if somebody wants to learn, what are the types of, where do you try to consume content if they want to learn to become a speaker? Is it going to events? Is it watching online? Is there certain books? Like, how does that first thing happen if you're like, you know what, I'm inspired by Pete Vargas, I want to try this?
Yeah, man. And you know my methodology on speaking, it's not to be a professional speaker. That's what makes our model pretty beautiful. Like, unfortunately, I have a lot of friends who are professional speakers, meaning that they rely upon a keynote fee. And that's a dangerous model because if something like this happens or in 2008 happens, it's gone just like that. And so what I would tell you is go learn from somebody, me, doesn't matter who, but actually understands the industry, understands the business, has people that they've worked with, that hasn't just gotten other people on stages, but go find somebody that you see that you connect with, man. And here's a great easy tip. Go watch the most viewed TED Talks. Like the most viewed TED Talks, you'll see what a great presenter does. Go look at who has all the views. That's a simple way to go learn if you want to understand what it is to be a good communicator. People who have views like Prince, and I think Jay Shetty's here, and a lot of people, they're doing something well in their communication style. So go pay attention to people who have massive amount of views, whether it's Prince, whether it's Jay, or whether it's a lot of these TED Talks. That'd be a great place to start, Dan.
So I often tell people that if I were to start all over again, I would throw live events. And like if I got dropped off in a foreign country, I had nothing to start with, I had no money, no contacts, how would I start my life over again tomorrow, right? And this is my answer. What are your thoughts about people throwing live events or virtual events once the quarantine's over?
So here's the thing. We had a live event that got canceled in May. We had 1,100 people, Dan. We had 1,100 people signed up for that live event. And we transferred it to a virtual event, bro, and a paid virtual event. And we're probably going to have 2,500 to 3,000 people at this virtual event. And I'm pretty dang excited about it. I believe just like 9/11 changed the game, Dan, around like, hey, we never can go through security again the same. Like we'll never travel in airports the same. Forbes just wrote an incredible article right now that the whole virtual economy is about to take a shift. I believe live events will come back. I believe that once people feel secure and aren't afraid, that they'll be boom and they'll be bigger than they've ever been before. But I don't know if that's 6 months or I don't know if that's 12 months. Like I just heard a couple of days ago that someone all of us would know was told in a few states aren't letting any live events happen before January. So what I would tell people to do is virtualize. Dude, we took 40 workshops that we do a year and we virtualized them. We took a big event and we virtualized them. And so that's the biggest piece of wisdom I would give to people right now is create this virtual economy. You have a unique opportunity. And Dan, that's what we've done in what you talked about. We're actually about to cross the 100,000 mark of people registered.
Wow.
Dude, in 2 short weeks, because the virtual economy is real, man. It's real in 2 short weeks, bro.
What's the name of that? What's the URL for that?
Yeah, it's called riseupworld.com, riseupworld.com. It's phenomenal. We got Damon John in there this week, Sarah Blakely, Tony Robbins, but it's a virtual experience. Like that's the economy. It's a virtual experience. And here's the thing. What I love about you is you're doing this live. Like, guys, this isn't pre-recorded. This isn't premeditated. This is what people do love in the virtual economy. The whole kind of live stream model that makes it very passive doesn't work in the virtual economy. You got to be able to engage. You got to be able to interact. You got to be able to do those things well. And so, man, I really encourage.
Let's engage right now. You said you had a prize you were going to give away tonight. What can we give away?
Man, I would love to. We have a $2,000 course that will help you understand how to craft your talk, how to get on stages, and how to actually build a business around your message. And so, yeah, man, let's give it away, bro.
Okay, so this one we're going to do via email. Email winner@100millionacademy.com. What's the question going to be? Let's do this. The question is, what is the name of the event that has almost 100,000 people registered that he just said? What's the name of the event? Email it to winner@100millionacademy.com, and you're going to win one of those $2,000 packages. Okay, so it's our last minute now. Could you let everybody know where they can find you, your business, etc.?
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, I would encourage them to go to riseupworld.com. That's where you can find me for the next few weeks because I'm in there every day. And man, we're advanceyourreach.com. Advanceyourreach.com is where we're at, Dan. And I'm telling you, go watch Prince's video, Why Most People Die Before 25. Like if you'll watch this after Dan's done with this power lineup tonight, you'll be very encouraged of why your message matters more today and why it doesn't need to go to the graveyard with you. So I'm super grateful for your friendship, man. And thank you for Thank you for, dude, Ed Milet's going to be there this week. So thank you for that connection. Awesome. This guy is one of the greatest connectors in the world, man. That's so awesome. I appreciate you, bro.
It's a pleasure for having you tonight. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you at the Rise Up event. All right. Our next guest, he also has 1 bajillion views on social media. That's the actual number, is 1 bajillion. He has built up such an amazing career. It's been so fun to watch over the years, and he comes from the most humble beginnings. And that's why his book, his speech, his podcast, his social is all about the actual spirituality and the journey of coming from a monk into this humongous spotlight. Please welcome Mr. Jay Shetty.
Hey, Dan, it's so good to see you, man. And thank you so much for doing this. And thanks to everyone else who's before and after. It's incredible to watch and listen and learn, man.
Thank you. It's really an honor to have you here. Could you give everybody a bit of a bio, and then we're going to dive into some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jay Shetty. I'm a storyteller, podcast host, and video creator. And my whole mission is about making wisdom go viral. I believe that wisdom is the property of everyone on the planet, but it needs to be presented in a relevant, accessible, and entertaining way. And so I've been doing that through all forms of media for the past 3 years. And it's been the best journey ever. It's been a lot of fun.
So how did you go from deciding, you know what, I'm going to go be a monk, I'm going to go live with the monks, and then you come back and you all of a sudden you're hosting television shows and Facebook Lives and getting zillions of views? Like, that is such a huge, like, how did that happen?
Yeah, no, good question. So the first thing is that I started sharing wisdom as soon as I met the monks. So the first time I met monks was when I was 18 years old. And straight after meeting them, and I was reading the books that they were recommending, I was attending their seminars and their classes all for free. There was no paid organizations back then in that world. And I just went and absorbed all this information. And I was like, this is powerful stuff. And so I set up a society at university called Think Out Loud. And every single week, students would come and hear me speak about science, spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. And these were free sessions that I would do. And when I started at university, I get about 10 students coming. And by the time I graduated 3 years later, we had about 100 students coming every single week. These sessions were for free. I would analyze movies like Inception and The Adjustment Bureau, and I would break them all down from the perspective of psychology and spirituality. And so I got fascinated with sharing and speaking and talking really, really early on in my life. And so when I came back from being a monk, I still had that desire to share everything I'd learned. And by then, social media kicked in. And by the way, I didn't join social media till 2014 and didn't get active till 2016 because I just didn't use social media. So I missed the boom of Facebook and YouTube in the beginning and every other platform. And I was just thinking, how do I get this information into the hands of anyone and everyone in the most scalable way? And I was just like, whoa, it seems like video is the way. So I made a video expecting nothing. And that was in 2016, 3rd Jan. I uploaded my first video, not believing that anyone would watch it. I didn't have any plan. There was no strategy. There was no idea of wanting to be an influencer or any of that stuff. It was just, how do I share wisdom in an entertaining way? Because I believe that everyone deserves to have these experiences that I was lucky enough to have. And so that's kind of how it all kicked off.
That's awesome. And you started hosting something really large on Facebook, right? In the business category?
When was that? Which one?
Exactly. I think you were hosting something with a TV show online or on Facebook?
At the moment, right now?
No, when you first started.
Oh, yeah. When I first started, I was on HuffPost live every single day. So this is when Facebook first began doing live. Like, it was the first year, 2016. And I was working with Ariana Huffington at the Huffington Post. And I went live every single day for 45 minutes for 9 months in a row, right? Wow. 5 days a week, every single day, 45 minutes a day, sometimes with guests, sometimes not. So that time I interviewed, it was a show called Follow the Reader. And we had guests from Tim Ferriss to Deepak Chopra to Simon Sinek and many other incredible names. And I would also go live on my own every single day. It was phenomenal. It was one of my best experiences. I just moved to New York. I was, no one really knew who I was or what I was up to. And it was one of the most fascinating learning curves in my life. But going live every day it builds such deep community. Like, what I learned from it is that I had such a strong bond with my community that it became a family. I knew people's names, people knew me better, people knew details about my life. It was incredible. And so I've been going live on, right now I'm teaching 20 days of meditation. I just finished 20 days about 10 days ago, and I'm kicking it off again tomorrow. And I'm teaching meditation for 20 days in a row for 20 minutes every single day. And I love these experiences because it builds such beautiful, powerful relationships with my community.
So how can somebody become a mini Jay Shetty? How can they make better content, more positive content, instead of all the repetitiveness that's out there?
Yeah, and first thing I'd say, and I think anyone would say this, is don't be a mini me, be a big you. It's a lot better to be a big you than a mini me. And being like anyone, I think, Dan, I watch your content. I love the style of your content and the way you teach social and the way you come across. And I feel like the way you reflect on stuff is super personal and interesting. I think the first really, really important thing is understand what your strong point is when it comes to your genre. So there are 5 types of genres that have scalability on social media. And this is from a course that I'm going to be sharing later on this year that I'm teaching. And so these are the 5 genres that 7,000 pieces of research were done by the New York Times on content that was the most scalable, shareable, and viral. And so content either had to be adventurous, humorous, emotional, inspirational, or surprising. So adventures like people jumping out of airplanes, and you saw Will Smith jump out of an airplane, right, for his 50th birthday. Humor's obvious. It's funny and comedic content. Emotional is the news. The news is considered emotional content, and that's why it's shared so much and goes so viral. The 4th one is inspirational content, and the 5th one is surprise, cats, dogs, babies, whatever you have it. Now, the key thing about these 5 themes is that they are all feelings and emotions. So content is not about what did someone learn, what did someone take away. It's about how did you make someone feel. And I think as content creators, you really have to understand, like, how does someone feel after watching your video? Do they feel comforted? Do they feel calm? Do they feel inspired? Do they feel motivated? What do you want them to feel? And then you've got to put that energy into that video. And I think so often we're worried about the lesson or the takeaway or the information. We're not focused on the feeling. So that would be one of the first things that I would focus on, is what are people going to feel after watching a piece of content? And that's what I focus on. I want people to feel heard. I want people to feel understood. And I want people to feel like I'm there with them, guiding them and helping them navigate the challenge in their life.
With so much negativity that's all of a sudden popped up on the news recently, how do you stay positive, and what would you say to people on how to adjust in the new world?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the reason why there's so much fear and anxiety is because there's so much uncertainty in the world. And uncertainty, first of all, you're never going to control anything outside of you, ever. Right now, we just figured that out in a big way. It's kind of like we knew that theoretically, psychologically, philosophically, and now it's like, no, literally, you don't control anything. And so the only way to do it is to focus on what you can control. And we've heard this message time and time again. But for me, it's finding certainty in my daily routine. I feel like that keeps me positive. It's the muscle that you're working every day. And so I've been recommending this morning routine or a daily routine that really helps me. I've been doing it for many years, different forms of it, but it has 4 elements. It's called time, T-I-M-E. So T stands for thankfulness. Finding time in your day to be grateful. Now, we hear that a lot, but what I'd like to add and what that's different is don't just feel grateful. Express it. Tell that person, send them a voice note, pick up the phone, write a love letter, whatever it is, like share gratitude. Don't just feel it. Don't just sit there and feel grateful. That's nice, but go and express it. The second one is inspiration. Find inspiration in your day, a podcast, a good book, but it has to be a format that you can repeat. Read 1 quote per day, read 1 paragraph per day, listen to 1 podcast a day, some sort of repeatable inspiration that can keep you boosted. M stands for meditation. I'm a huge proponent of meditation because there's a beautiful Tibetan Buddhist statement that says that what movement does for the body, stillness does for the mind. And I love that statement because it's like we all need to move our bodies, but we don't know how to still our minds. And then E stands for exercise, movement, dance, whatever works for you. So finding time in your day helps you stay positive in a genuine, sustainable way, not just in a burst of inspiration, motivation way.
Can you talk a bit more about meditation? Because I think it's an interesting time for the world to actually start taking on and actually being more consistent with meditation. Because I think that's the hardest problem for people. But now that they're in quarantine, I think it's actually scalable. Like they could actually do it and then hopefully stick with it afterwards Talk about why meditation is important and useful.
Meditation is hugely important because it's rewiring your mind. So every limiting belief you have, every breakthrough you haven't yet had, every thought that plagues and blocks you and limits you from achieving your potential, meditation has the ability to rewire that, right? So that's huge in and of itself. Like you just pushing against all your negative thoughts and all your challenges, you're not going to get through it until you find that stillness. The second reason why I think meditation is so powerful for me personally is that it takes away the noise. You just completely declutter. You completely lose all sense of like what people's opinions are and what people expect of you and what you think you should do versus what you really believe you should do. And you can like declutter and disconnect. I mean, there are a ton of studies that talk about one of my favorite ones that's coming up in my book, Think Like a Monk, and I break down the practices that monks do in meditation. It shows how people who meditate may feel physical pain, but they don't feel the emotional pain that most people attach to it. So most of us suffer twice, right? Seneca said this, we suffer twice. We suffer once in reality and another time in imagination. And when you meditate, you take away the suffering that you would feel in your mind. You only feel the physical pain of what you've been through. So it's pretty incredible stuff.
Is physical fitness a part of this? Like, is physical fitness a part of the mindset? Is it important to you? Yeah, massively. So I focused a lot of my life on my mind. And when I married my wife, which was 4 years ago now, 2016 when we got married, it's nearly our wedding anniversary. Actually, our wedding anniversary is in 2 days. It's going to be a 4-year wedding anniversary. And when I met my wife, she's into diet and healthcare, and she's a vegan extraordinaire, vegan food guru, and she's incredible. And so for me, she really brought me to understanding my body better. That was something that I feel like in the running of the mastery of the mind, I neglected. So I'm a huge proponent of exercise. I work out every single day. I enjoy it. I'm someone who used to love playing sports. I don't play as many sports anymore, but I think movement's a huge part of this. And that's why I said that Tibetan Buddhist statement, what movement does for the body, stillness does for the mind. And you need both. It's not an either or. If you like going to the gym for the body, you have to go for the gym for the mind. And if you've got a gym for the mind, you've got to go to the gym for the body. Is there certain types of content that people should be consuming? Like, is it bad to watch a ton of TV? Is it better to listen to a bunch of podcasts? How should people be consuming content since there's so many options?
Yeah, I read a study, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and the study was talking about how the most successful people in the world choose education over entertainment. So the most successful people in the world are choosing books, podcasts, interview content versus watching random TV and random movies or whatever it may be. And that's just, and you look at the studies, the most educated, not the most educated, the most successful people in the world, healthy, wealthy, and wise, they're focusing on investing in courses, investing in education, investing in growth. They're not thinking about investing in a bigger TV. And so I think when you look at it from that perspective, it all comes down to what your personal goal is. So for me, I know when I'm productive and I know when I'm unproductive or when I need to unwind. And so my morning hours up until like the late afternoon are deep in being productive and focused and learning. And then for the rest of the day, I allow myself to unwind. So I'm a big movie junkie. I love movies. And I watch a ton of movies, but I'm watching them at times when I wouldn't be more productive doing something else. So I find like entertainment should be used sparingly when you feel those are the times when you're less alert, less focused, but don't waste your most focused, productive, alert time on those places, because then you're wasting your potential basically. So I'm not against people watching TV shows. If you want to binge watch, great, but you got to know what that life leads to. And I think that's the clarity. It's like, what do you want? Work out the steps backward. And then what is the life you're currently doing leading to? Like, where's it going?
So when the quarantine is over, hopefully May 15th, but probably more like June, how do people start to reconnect in a social distant world?
Yeah, I'm hoping, and I feel like it's happened. And Dan, I mean, this is, you're doing this, and I think it's awesome, the amount of people that are supporting and getting involved, and everyone who's listening, by the way, thank you for being here. I actually feel that we've figured out how to connect more deeply right now than ever before. Like, people are actually spending more time with the people they love. They're doing virtual dinners and virtual dates and virtual workouts. And I feel like people are calling each other way more than they ever have before. So I'm hoping that you're actually going to feel closer to people after this. And if you use this time to build up all the habits that everyone before me has talked about and everyone after is going to talk about and the things that I've shared, then actually we're going to enter a more compassionate, empathetic, loving world. And I'm excited for that world. And I know that there's a lot of pain right now too, so I'm not ignoring that. But I do believe that we're planting the seeds for an extraordinary world if we use this time to go deeper, to connect more humanly. It's actually going to be a lot more natural when we come out of this.
Is there certain books or things that you consume that would be useful for people out there to read?
Yeah, so my number one favorite book is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. If you've not read it, I highly recommend it. It's the best understanding of the mind that I've ever read in my life. And that applies so deeply to the monk teachings I learned. And so it's called Thinking Fast and Slow. It gives you the most, if you want to be self-aware, that is the book that makes you self-aware, because it gives you the most, and you've got to look beyond the science in it because it's quite science heavy, but the principles are just phenomenal. So that I absolutely love. It's a really, really great book. And I would say that's probably my top one that I want to recommend.
How can people create more positive messages?
I think you've got to reflect, what I think the best kind of content is content you've reflected on and content that just you're moved to create. So I made a video this week called Will Your Relationship Survive COVID-19? And it was because literally everyone in my life was calling me saying, Jay, I'm struggling with my relationship right now. Like I'm struggling with my partner in the house. We're on top of each other. We're in each other's face all the time. And so it came from a genuine place of pain, and you create a positive message based on a genuine place of pain. So what we try to do is we try to think, what's the positive message I want to share? And that doesn't actually make any sense, because the positive message has to be the remedy or the cure or the antidote to a pain in our lives. And so the best way to create more positive messages is reflect on the pain you're going through and what has positively helped you or other people in that situation, and then share that message. That message is going to be received much more strongly, and it's going to have a much more powerful impact on people because it's associated with the pain that they've been through or we're all going through right now.
So do you think people should utilize all the social media platforms, or should they go all in on one platform?
Yeah, great question. So when I grew on Facebook, which was my first fast growing platform in terms of everyone I feel has a platform that they break through on, and Facebook was my platform that it happened on. Facebook was the unsexy, uncool, untrendy platform. And so everyone was saying to me, Jay, who cares about being a Facebook creator? And I was like, I just want to be a creator. I don't really care what platform I'm on. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me. I just want to be in a place that I can serve people and can make a difference. And what I found is that I grew on Facebook, and then I was able to redirect that growth across my other platforms. And I believe from analyzing the journeys of pretty much every other social media creator out there, you can see that they all have a breakthrough. So for example, Charli D'Amelio right now on TikTok is having this huge hockey stick. And I can see that following is now transferring over to Instagram. And that's how I see it, that you've got to figure out which platform do you get the most traction on. And this is the mind trick. This is the mind mess that we all fall into. Everyone wants to be hot on the hottest platform, not realizing that just being hot on any platform is a great starting point. So it's like everyone at one point wanted to be the biggest YouTuber. And then everyone wanted to be the biggest Instagrammer. And now everyone wants to be the biggest TikToker. And it's like, but actually you might actually grow on LinkedIn right now. Or actually you might be the one to grow on Pinterest right now. So find the place where your audience wins and the audience loves you, and engage in that. And then you can redirect that energy and that audience and community to other platforms. So don't get lost in the branding of it, where it's like Facebook's not cool, TikTok's the coolest. Because guess what? Millions of people listening and watching and sharing your work. To me, that's satisfying just from that perspective, rather than am I big on this platform versus this platform. So yeah, don't get lost in that.
So we have 30 seconds left. Where can people find you, consume your world, your business, your social, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find everything at Jay Shetty on Instagram. We have some incredible courses out there that are launching all off of jayshetty.me. So you can find them on the website, jayshetty.me. We have everything from a coaching certification through to Passion to Paycheck courses and through to a genius coaching program. So there's a ton of stuff out there, but you can find it at Jay Shetty at Instagram. I want to give a big shout out with my last 30 seconds to Dan and everyone else who's put this together. It's super meaningful to be a part of. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate what you're doing and the great work you put out into the world and everything that you do, man. So thank you for what you stand for, and thanks for bringing us all together.
Absolutely. I truly appreciate it. It's an honor to have you. Everybody say goodbye to Mr. Jay Shetty.
Thanks, man.
All right. Our next guest, Alex Morton. He has spoken at, I can't even count how many events. I thought I spoke at a lot of events. This guy speaks at events all over the world, at arenas, convention centers, ballrooms, anywhere he can speak, an audience shows up. Please welcome Mr. Alex Morton.
What's up, Dan? How you doing, man?
How's it going? How do you get a fresh haircut during quarantine?
Bro, my barber came over today because I've been doing so much digital stuff, so he came over on the balcony and just cleaned me up. I was looking rough before this call, though, I'll tell you that.
Can you give everybody a bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, so what's going on, everybody? First off, I want to say a massive amount of gratitude to you, Dan, for being just, an inspiration, a big brother, kind of a mentor on, social media. But guys, I'm 30 years old. I've been in the direct sales industry since I was 21. Before that, broke, college kid, found the industry, went all in on that industry. By the grace of God, I made my first $1 million before I was 25 years old, and, done that now several times over and helped a lot of people all over the world. And like Dan said, I've spoken in 86 countries around the world to probably close to 1 million people, but overall just a normal guy with big dreams and likes to help people.
That is awesome. So how did you come up with your screen name? Because that's kind of the whole concept of what our show is about tonight.
Come up with what? One more time?
Your name, your screen name on Instagram.
Oh, Alex Morton Mindset. Yeah. So it's interesting. My mentor is Bob Proctor, and his big thing is like the mind, how to create, using your imagination, reason, will, intuition, memory, kind of the higher faculties in the mind to create everything you want to create. So at 21, I met him and I was making $400 a month, and he kind of took me under his wing and taught me the spiritual side of success, and using all of those things, which is all in the mind. I created, a decent amount of success at a young age. So AMM is also my full name, Alexander Mark Morton. So Alex Morton Mindset, I was like, let's run with it. And, it sounds cool, and let's just go.
So how important is mindset to your business?
It's everything. I mean, my personal belief is that mindset is important, whether you're, in the NBA, the NFL, you're in the entertainment business, you're in meditation, you do what you do, or someone does what I do. I think my mentality is everything, because everything in your house, everything in my home office in Miami, everything was first created in the mind. Even us, we were, thought about by mom and dad at some point. So I think once people understand that everything is created first in the mind, in the spirit, people can really use their imagination and build this image, build this idea of where they want to go, who they want to become with their life, in business, in relationships, with their health, with their happiness. And then through that, begin to manifest it into the physical universe. So I think mentality is 90 to 95% of success in every profession. So
why do so many people show up to see you speak? What is it that makes you?
Yeah, I think my story is super relatable. I mean, I grew up, middle class. I saw work ethic at a young age, and I think there's just a lot of millennials that are kind of lost. I was 18. I was going to Arizona State. I was questioning my professor, like, this dude makes $35,000 a year. I want to be a millionaire. I want to impact people. I want to help people. And I think, my first book was called Dorm Room to Millionaire. And I think it's just simple, tactical information systems and processes that anybody can really latch onto. And, through my, processes and stuff, we've helped duplicate now over 1,000 people, to over $10,000 a month in residual income around the world, whether that's Nigeria or Colombia or here in Miami. So I think the stories are relatable, and it's simple enough that anybody can follow the system, and they can also duplicate the success in their life.
What are some of the couple highlights that you talk about at these events?
So I talk a lot about desire. I always talk about desire as the starting point of all achievement. I talk a lot about, goals. I think, you hear the word goals all the time on social media, whether it's Tony Robbins or Gary Vee or, somebody else. But the issue is that most people don't set proper goals. So I talk about how most people set goals in terms of what they know they can accomplish or what they think they can accomplish. And instead, the goal should be what they truly desire, what they truly want to accomplish. And we talk about, the art of a goal card. It's such an old school, I guess, tactic, but writing down your goals in the present tense. When I was 21 and broke and living with 4 guys in an apartment in Arizona, I wrote down, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a millionaire on my 25th birthday. And I said it enough. Over and over and over again, what happened was that my mind believed it, because the mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is fantasy. So I teach a lot about that. I teach a lot about thoughts, feelings, actions, persistence, a lot of the stuff you might read in some of these books, but I make it so it's kind of like, I don't want to use the word sexy, but it really hits home to the 18 to 35-year-olds, and they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I need to write my goals down. I need to create a vision board. I need to put the car I want on the wall. I need to put the house I want on the wall. And then I also talk about, the law of attraction is great, but if you don't have the law of action with it, it's not going to work out. So I talk about how you got to sacrifice, you got to work hard, you got to find mentors. Basically, I take what I did to go from where I was to where I am today, and then I just give it to as many people as possible all over the planet, and attempt to duplicate my success into as many people as I can.
So what would you recommend for people that have to pivot to the new world this summer?
Yeah, so I've been talking to a lot of people that, are door-to-door salespeople, real estate, insurance, direct sales. And the digital world, it's always been here. You know that more than anybody else on this call. And people they got to get digital. Zoom, I'm on 15 Zoom calls a day with people all over the world. And it's so easy. I get to sit here in shorts talking to people all over the planet. So I think whether it's real estate and you need to do virtual open houses, or it's insurance, you need to create prospects for life insurance, and you do Zoom presentations for life insurance. I think everyone's got to get digital, because listen, even when the country opens up and the world opens up, people are still going to be hesitant to go sit at Komodo in Miami with 800 people, or I don't know if like Live and Story nightclubs are going to be opening by the end of 2020. I don't know. So if you're an entrepreneur, which most of you obviously probably are, you've got to figure out how to take your business onto the digital place. My buddy out here, Anthony Rhodes, is a big celebrity trainer. He trains like Steve Aoki and all these guys. He's selling ebooks on the cell phone, gymless workouts. So I think that no matter what you do or who you are, you can build your business and maybe even scale it even more using the internet, using the Wi-Fi. There's no doubt. So
how important is it to have a secondary income, and what types of things can people do to have a secondary income?
Yeah, Jim Rohn always said, you work full time, at your job, you work part time on your fortune. I think everybody needs to, because obviously we're seeing right now with coronavirus and all these different things, it's really spreading light on the issues and the problems, and not just America but the whole planet, because people rely on one job, linear income, get paid every 2 weeks, and if you're sick, you don't get a check. If the thing shuts down, you don't get a check. So people have got to figure out some way to make money at home, whether that's currency trading, whether that's e-commerce. One of my neighbors is a massive guy on Amazon, and he was talking to me about what he's doing right now with the whole quarantine going on, exploding his business. So I think it's very important, to find something you're passionate about, find something you're excited about, find a correct mentor that actually has the results you desire, and then learn something, how to make money with your phone, with your computer, with your, when you can stay at home with your wife and your kids and, enjoy your life and have freedom.
So this call is about positive mindsets. A lot of times when people go out to do sales, they sometimes have rebuttals in situations. How could you help somebody get over that first rebuttal, or not necessarily answer how a rebuttal goes, but how do you prepare yourself mentally to hear no?
Yeah, you just got to know. That's a funny question. When I was 21, I got started in my profession. My dad said you're going to get told no a lot of times. And it's almost like going for no, like go out there. And when you're prospecting for your real estate company or insurance or direct sales, whatever it is you're doing, go out there and go get told no 10 to 15 times. And eventually you're going to develop rhino skin to where someone says, oh, the internet stuff doesn't work. Oh, that's a scam. It's going to start to just hit you and then pop right off you. So I would say you're going to get told no matter who you are, no matter how much money you make, no matter how much credibility you have. Someone somewhere is going to still tell you no, it doesn't work, it's too good to be true, and all of these things. So understand that, number one, you're going to get told no. Number two, it's okay, because when someone tells you no and you have a really good product or service, I truly believe that what they're saying is they don't believe they can do what Dan is doing. They can't do what Jay Shetty's doing. They can't do what Joel Marion is doing. They're not saying no to you specifically. They're saying no to their own belief system that they can't create the same success in whatever it is you're selling.
So how important is it pricing? Meaning, do you believe that it's better to go after low ticket items, medium ticket items, or high ticket if you're selling online?
I think it's good to have a wide variety. One of my friends and mentors, he lives down the street. A lot of people know him, Grant Cardone. He's got stuff for free or 99 cents. And he's got stuff for $50,000, $100,000, mentorship programs. Bob Proctor, another example, he gives away a book, free shipping, free plus shipping for $5. And then he has his top mentor. He told me he has Hollywood actors paying him, 7 figures a year to talk to him once a month. So I think that, when you're first getting going, obviously you want to see some sales. Whether you're using ClickFunnels or Amazon or Shopify, you want to get your feet wet. But eventually, when you become, an authority figure, you become an expert in whatever it is you're doing, I believe it's good to have it scaled, all the way up. I mean, one day when I launch, AM as an entire, company, I know I'm going to have stuff for free, and I'm going to have mentorship programs for, $100,000 mastermind. So I think it's important to, have something for everybody, because why limit yourself when you can have, the entire market, not just, this select few over here. That's my opinion.
Yeah. My whole 6 years of elevator nights, it's been free. It cost me $300,000 or $400,000 a year to keep it free. We've thrown 38 events. There's no sponsors, no tickets, no sales on stage, just free. But then last year Joel Marion and I started the $100,000 cost for the 100 million mastermind experience, and we sold out 100 spots instantly. So it's $10 million in revenue from this, but it's half a decade of work before this thing instantly sells out, right? And now, because of that, I do everything for free, right? I've always had this free events, but now I'm like completely overdoing it. I'm going to overdo it for the rest of my life, because that can be my secret side thing that has those 100 people that helps fund. It's like, I don't want to call it Robin Hood, but it helps fund everybody to the masses. And I want to keep all my stuff free. Elevator nights will always be free no matter what, with or without the mastermind. But now it's like at scale, we can do elevator nights all around the planet. So last question is, what do you see for the summer of 2020 when people reemerge?
I think there's going to be a lot more self-awareness. I think a lot of people right now are finding themselves a little bit, whether it's meditation or it's really just sitting at home. I can't watch, LeBron play on TV. I'm not watching the news. I'm kind of like in my own thinking, in my own thoughts, reevaluating the last 30 years of my life. What went good? What went great? What didn't go so hot? What can I improve on? So I think when people come out of this, God willing, hopefully, they're going to be different. They're going to have grown spiritually, mentally, maybe even physically. They're going to know more of who they are, and really what they aspire to accomplish, with their lives. And I think we're going to see a lot more compassion. I think that people are really going to be nicer to people, being nice to people, holding doors for people, saying please and thank you more. Just on the little things, I think are going to get a lot better. And I think there's going to be a lot more worldwide respect and love. And I think that everything happens for a reason. And we're going to look back on this 10, 15, 20 years down the road and say, you know what, that was bad and people did die. But overall for humanity, it was actually a powerful event that happened and lives changed for the better, post coronavirus and quarantine, because people really went back to who they are and operated with love and respect more than just trying to, get a dollar here or there and screwing people over. And there's going to be just an overwhelming amount of love and gratitude and respect in the universe. I believe that.
Where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, so Instagram is Alex Morton Mindset. YouTube is Alex Morton Mindset. And then I'm giving away a bunch of phones and computers and iPads on amgiveaway.com. Just like you, everything for free as well.
Awesome. Alex Morton, thank you for being here. Have a good night.
Thank you too. Super grateful.
All right. Our next guest is a best-selling author, one of the top podcasts on the planet, been featured on TV shows all over the world. He's just one of those great humans. He embodies what we're doing here tonight with the positive mindset, trying to really inspire people all around the planet. He does so much for so many people. It's really an honor to have him. Please welcome Mr. Lewis Howes.
Big Dan, the man.
Hello.
Good to see you, man.
How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic. Could you give everybody the quick 60-second bio? Because I got plenty of questions for you.
Just a guy trying to change lives, man. I used to play football. That was my identity and my dream. 12 years ago, got injured. Had no clue what I was going to do. In 2008, I was on my sister's couch for a year and a half trying to figure out how do I make money. I wasn't born an entrepreneur. I didn't sell baseball cards, do lemonade stand. I wasn't just like young hustler. I didn't have any confidence in myself and the ability to make money. I didn't have a college degree at the time. I was just a bum from middle of nowhere, Ohio, who was very insecure. And I lost my identity, lost my dream. Everything I put my confidence in was no longer there. That was sports. And I had to figure out, how do I make money? How do I survive in the biggest crash at that time in 2008? And really had no clue what I was going to do until I found a few mentors that I started seeking out through LinkedIn. And from there, over the last decade, built up a global brand with the School of Greatness and just been changing lives the best I can do with the skills that I have and living my dreams every day.
So the last movie I got to see in a movie theater before movie theaters closed down was your movie at the Grove Mall for the lunch. Hopefully those movie theaters reopen soon. Could you tell us about that film in that couple-year experience?
Yeah, it was probably the last movie that sold out a theater, before all this happened. I put out a documentary a couple months ago just for a week. I wanted to give it away for free. Been working on it for a couple of years. And we had a great time putting it out there. Now we're looking to bring it out online somewhere, figuring out the distribution. And I have no clue what I'm doing. I've never done a movie before. Just like in 10 years ago, I had no clue how to launch a business. I had no clue how to write a book. I had no clue how to do a podcast. I had no clue. And I just said, I want to do it. So let me figure it out. And I think that's probably a good lesson for a lot of people here is, you don't need to know how to do anything, because I had no clue over the last decade how to do anything I've done. You just need to know what you want and why you want to do it. And if there's something meaningful behind that, then normally good things will happen if you work at it long enough. And I've just continued to work really long at my dreams.
I mean, that's truly inspiring because it's so real, right? Most people don't come from money. I didn't come from money. I was working 3 jobs in high school to save up money. Most people don't come from that. A very small percentage do. And we thought about this about a year ago. I went through my phone. I actually don't know anybody that has these 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure companies or billion-dollar companies that came from money. I am not friends with any of those people. And not that I wouldn't be, I literally don't know anybody that came from a rich family that built some big business. And it's an interesting theory that you just come from, listen, you came from the Midwest, you wanted to do something, and you realize, you know what, I'm done sitting here on the couch, I'm gonna do something. And you started figuring it out. And I think that's what's truly inspiring is that it doesn't take huge amounts of money. Like Bobby Castro, he didn't raise any money. He just worked for 15 years and built this huge business. So your books, could you talk about the different titles and why those came up? Because they're two very different types.
Yeah, and I'm seeing all the chats come through here, so I'm just saying hi to everyone.
Sure.
Appreciate you guys sticking around for this. I know it's a long night of valuable people, and I know you had Alex on, who is a fellow Ohio guy as well, so thanks for putting two Ohio guys back to back. You know, the books for me were just I feel like I've always created what I need, and when I feel like there's not something out there that I wish I could get for myself, I go create it. I go research, I go interview people, I take action and make a lot of mistakes, and then I share the findings that I've created. So for me, the book was really a distillation of all the people I'd interviewed for my podcast for a number of years. And the podcast stemmed from me wanting to get the tools that I never felt like I got from school. You know, they teach us how to memorize certain words in a book. They teach us how to take a test. They don't teach us about failure. They don't teach us how to recover from when someone bullies you. They don't teach you how to handle success. They don't teach you how to make friends. They don't teach you how to communicate. They don't teach you any of these things. And I wanted to really learn about how to understand myself better. And as I was interviewing all these people for years, I was like, man, I feel like it's doing a disservice if I don't share the top stuff that I've learned and package it in a way so that people can implement it. So that's what I do with all my work, all my books, podcasts, everything. It's just, what can I learn for myself and then share it with other people.
And then the book after that was much more emotional about you and your journey. Can you talk about that book?
Yeah, Mask of Masculinity was really about, I feel like our greatest fears are the things that we should be taking action on every single day. So a lot of people say, well, how do I overcome self-doubt? How do I build more confidence? For me, it's always been write a list of your biggest fears, the ones that make you shake just thinking about them, the ones that make you tremble, and then go do those things until they don't have power over you anymore. For me, it took me 25 years to talk about being raped and sexually abused as a 5-year-old by a man that I didn't know. It only happened one time, but that one time is a memory that I think about every day. And it's a memory that I can smell the room, I can experience all my senses from what happened that day. And it shaped me in a certain way over 25 years. Some things that shaped me in a positive, powerful way, other things that made me defensive, angry, resentful at the world. And it hurt me in those ways. And it wasn't until I started to take on the fear of actually addressing it and talking about it. What's step one? The fear of actually letting go and forgiving. The fear of forgiving myself and starting to heal. The fear of letting go of that old identity and shedding that. It wasn't until I started to do that where I started to feel a sense of peace, an inner peace that I'd never felt in my life. You know, for 5 years, I couldn't sleep at night. I would just always lay in bed. It didn't matter if I went to bed early, late. I would lay there, and for an hour or 2 hours would go by, and I couldn't rest my mind. And I didn't know why. I just thought it was me. I was like, well, something's wrong with me, but you know, this is the way it is for the rest of my life. When I started to address the sexual abuse and just everything from my past that I never wanted to talk about because I wanted to put this facade that I was okay and, you know, put my ego out there. When I started to address those things, it was like I could go to bed in 5 to 10 minutes. And it was like, whoa, okay, there's something to this. You know, I don't have to just go talk about my successes and be achieving all the time and making money and building this business. Like, if it's not bringing me peace in my heart, if it's never enough, I would achieve constantly and still be like, well, I'm not good enough, or I need to prove myself more. And that is a darkness inside if you haven't addressed it yet. And go ahead and leave a comment if you've ever felt like, you know, it's never enough. It doesn't matter how much money you make or how much accomplishments or the books or the press or whatever. If it doesn't feel enough, if you don't feel enough, then what's the point of all this? What's the point? So I'm seeing a lot of people comment, yes, 100%. Can't find fulfillment. Amen to that. It's never enough. I'm seeing the comments flood through right now. So just know you're not alone. I was there for 30 years of my life. I mean, 25 years, let's say, until I started to remember my childhood. But 30 years of my life until I started to actually reflect and have some inward conversations with myself and say, why am I this way? Why do I react every time I feel like someone's taking advantage of me? Why do I want to get in a fist fight when someone elbows me on the basketball court when it means nothing? Why do I, obsess over beating everyone at everything? And how does that hurt all my relationships? I just started asking questions that I never asked, because before, when people would try to support me, I'd say, don't change me. This is who I am. Like, don't try to change me, just accept me. But really, that was being selfish by not looking inward. And the more I started to just ask questions, why do I act this way? Just because it's the way I am? Or maybe there were some things that happened that shaped a story in my mind that's still connected to my heart and my soul that I respond to based on that story. So what if I could just start to heal all the things from my past, anything that anyone ever said to me, forgive them and let it go. Anything that I ever did to myself, because I don't know if you were like this, Dan, I don't know if anyone else was like this. I used to get in trouble in elementary school a lot and go into the principal's office. And I would tell the principal, I wish I were dead all the time. I would just say it out loud. I wish I were dead. I never acted in any suicidal ways, but I would say these things. And that's not something to be taken lightly, but I would say it all the time, and I would think it a lot. Like, why am I here? What's the point of my life if I don't have any friends, if I'm stupid, if I'm in the special needs classes, if I've been raped? What's the point of my life if no one gives a shit about me? What if no one cares about me? Why am I alive? What's the purpose? And I had that for many, many years. And I said, screw the world. My purpose is going to be to win at everything, to be the best at everything, so no one can ever hurt me. And when you come from that place, when I came from that place, there were benefits and payoffs, and there were prices that I paid. And the prices were typically internal suffering, constant pain and suffering inside. And I masked it with, let me get strong, let me be a better athlete, let me make more money, let me have more friends, let me hook up with more girls, let me do all these things to project that I'm better than people, and to make sure that I look good in the eyes of the people that really don't matter either way, what people think. And so healing became a path for me of healing the past, and forgiveness, because without forgiveness, something else has power over you. Without the ability to look at my thoughts and look at my feelings and emotions, I'm going to have thoughts, I'm going to have feelings, I'm going to have emotions. It's natural. But without the ability to understand them and process them in a healthy manner, then thoughts and feelings and emotions will always have power over me, and so will other people. And so will memories of something from 10, 20, 30 years ago still have power over me today. Until we learn to heal and forgive, the person that bullied you when you were in middle school still has control over you. The ex-boyfriend or girlfriend still is stabbing you in the heart until you forgive them and let them go. So when I finally started to do that at 30, when I had a big kind of perfect storm moment of all these things breaking down in my life, I started to evaluate, as opposed to being rejecting people's feedback and support. I started to say, give me all the feedback in the world. I want to hear it. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls that a lot of us ego-driven, achievement-driven people have, is we don't receive feedback well. I know I never could. Anytime anyone left a negative comment about anything on social media, on the book I wrote, anything at all, I had to write like an essay of like, why you're wrong and why you don't understand me. And if you only understood who I am and why I didn't, it's like I had to spend all my effort and energy to prove something right to someone that doesn't matter. So, so that book was really about what I learned about myself. And I went on a path of like, wow, a lot of darkness in the world comes from men who've never healed their past. And not to compare my childhood trauma to anyone else's, because we all have different external or internal challenges and we face them differently. But I just realized, wow, I was shaped in a way based on the things that I went through and held on to. And when I started to let them go and heal and forgive everyone else and forgive myself, man, I felt so much peace. And it's like, I was just doing a call with Tim Story right before this for his channel. And I was saying like, I only had really like one day of like frustration and kind of overwhelm during this whole last month, where I felt like the weight of the world was on me. But for the rest of the time, I just feel like I've gone through so much letting go and healing and acceptance that I'm like, everything is scary and uncertain for a lot of people and bad things are happening, but this is what makes you stronger. This is what will make you, I think Alex was talking about this a little bit, and I just feel prepared. I just feel prepared, and I don't want anything bad to happen to me or anyone else, but I feel like right now I'm prepared because I've done so much work on healing the past and being at peace with good things happening, bad things happening, people letting me down, people hurting me hurting other people. Like, I'm just at peace with it. So I feel like I'm seeing a lot of comments come through. I appreciate you guys' feedback on all this stuff. And this is, I'm kind of rambling for a minute, but I was just seeing all these comments come through here.
There's a thing I say when you were talking about responding to comments. I say, don't feed the trolls. And why I say that is we work with 600 girls on social media, so they get bombarded with comments, body shaming them, talking crap to them, being mean to them. And I tell them, they just want a response from you. You can't rationalize with them. If Lewis Howes donated $1 million today, they'd be like, he didn't donate $1,020,000. Like, the same way you hear when Jeff Bezos donates $97 million, like, that's only this much. It's $97 million. There's plenty of billionaires that have never donated a penny. So
I know.
All right, my next question
People always get criticized, man.
Prince EA and I were talking about this earlier tonight. The sentence, love is the answer. And I noticed recently, not just recently, this last year or so, your social media has become so much more loving with this newfound girlfriend, the puppies involved. Like, talk about the content's fantastic, and I get so excited. You've seen me comment on your love is the answer because I think of it, it just triggers, and it's so powerful to see.
You know what's funny? Your partner Joel was mentioning something to me a couple months ago. I can't even remember what we were talking about, but he was like, people say that you're soft now, like, and like people say that you're like you're not this like tough guy anymore. You're like this soft human being now. And he goes, how does that make you feel if people call you soft behind your back? And I'm just like, this is the competitor in me. I'm like, I literally in my mind believed I could beat up anyone in the world. Like when my back's against the wall, if anyone wanted to fight me, I'm like, I can let the monster out and take on anyone. But I just don't, that doesn't support me and doesn't support anything. It doesn't support you when you allow darkness to come out of you and react to anyone in the world. It doesn't support the mission of service. And so I'm just like, okay, anyone that wants to say whatever or wants to attack me, it's just like, man, that's really sad because I know where they're coming from. They're coming from a place of insecurity. They're coming from fear. And it's just so much greater to feel peace in your heart every night than to be angry. And
so you're like Bruce Banner now. You got the Incredible Hulk inside of you, but you're Bruce Banner.
I could always bring it out. If someone was trying to fight me and I had to save my life, I would, destroy someone. But because I know how to be in that place and I know how to go there and not feel pain. But it's just like, it doesn't, I'd rather focus on love and positivity. And
I love seeing it. It's been fantastic.
There's up. And you always gain more from lifting it up. Yeah.
So we got a couple minutes left. What do you see for the summer of 2020 mindset-wise? How can people get through these darker times when we reemerge after this quarantine and things are different?
I just think you gotta, I was going through some challenging times at the beginning of last year where I felt like a lot of people were, a lot of friends I had were abandoning me, where they weren't supporting me. And I was frustrated for a moment, and then I was grateful because they showed me who they truly were by not supporting me by something I was going through. And so as much as it hurt to feel like people were backstabbing me that I'd given to and helped out for years without ever coming to me and asking me stuff about why they were, not supporting me around something, I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to have hindsight now. I'm going to imagine it's the end of the year right now. It's New Year's Eve. And I'm going to imagine all this was happening to lift me up even greater. It was going to give me the greatest lesson of my life. It was going to teach me the skills I needed for my future dreams. And I kept just saying, like, and every day there was something that was coming. There was another friend that was like betraying me or backstabbing me. And I was just like, man, really? You too? And I was just like, I'm going to have hindsight now. And I had to take a deep breath and say, I'm having hindsight now. This is happening in a powerful way in my favor. It's going to give me incredible skills. It's going to give me all the tools I need to then launch my dreams and catapult them. So, whatever you're going through right now, feel the feelings, express the emotions. Don't bottle any emotion up, but don't stay there. Staying in them is what's going to hurt you. So if I dwelled on all these people kind of backstabbing me or whatever, betraying me, and stayed there, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And it's been an amazing progression over the last year of having hindsight now. So just picture yourself, it's New Year's Eve, it's Christmas Day, end of the year, and you're reflecting back and start thinking about everything you gained through the loss, through the uncertainty, through the pain, through the heartache, everything that you are going to gain, and just think of it's already happening. I just have hindsight now. Just say every time you feel fear, I'm having hindsight now. Every time you lose another client, I'm having hindsight now. What am I going to gain from this? What actions am I going to take right now to support me for the end of the year? And the more you do that, you'll look back. It'll be Christmas time, New Year's Eve. You'll look back and you're like, man, I'm so glad I had hindsight then, because all these good things happened to me now.
That is awesome. Well, everybody make sure to go follow Lewis Howes across all his channels. Check out his podcast for sure and some of his books. Thank you, Lewis. It's a pleasure to have you. It's an honor. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. All
right. Our next guest is also one of my favorite humans. We have a lot of my favorite humans all combined into one big night. This gentleman, his name is Nick Santonastasso. He is, gosh, how do I say it? He's so inspirational to me because he works hard, he plays hard, he works out hard. He's just constantly doing more than most anybody I know. And so this guy's spoken on stages around the planet. Tony Robbins has had him speak at events all over the world. There's just so much to say about it. He just came out with this. I got his book right here. It's always next to me. Victim to Victor. Please welcome Mr. Nick Santonastasso.
My man, thanks for having me.
There
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
What's going on?
Another day, brother. Glad to spend this afternoon with you.
All right. Can you give everybody a bit of bio about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Nick Santonastasso. I'm 23 years old, global keynote speaker, peak performance expert, bodybuilder, model, and unicorn.
Yeah. So tell me about your TikTok. You are going crazy on there. You're getting millions and millions and millions of views. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I came up off Vine. So when I was a senior in high school, I was looking around and I said, I want to do something that has never been done before. And I want to create a way, because there's always a method to my madness. So I wanted to create a way where I can not only make people laugh, but I can inspire them. And you'd be like, wow, look how happy Nick is in his body. Or maybe I could be a little bit more comfortable in my body, because I knew what it felt like to be, depressed, unconfident, suicidal, all these things, right? And so, I thought of ideas with my friends and I said, well, how many guys do you know that have no legs and one arm that crawl around Walmart pretending to be a zombie? And they said, no one. And I said, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And so, I put fake blood on my face and I put fake blood on my clothes and I set out to my local Walmart in New Jersey, which Nick's not allowed in that Walmart anymore. But I started doing pranks and I gained 1 million followers on Vine and was like, wow, this is amazing. But it didn't fulfill me. I know Lewis was talking about fulfillment. And then so I went on with my life. But now we're at a time where TikTok, I was analyzing it, and TikTok is one of the best algorithms in the sense of you don't need to have a massive following to get exposure. If your content's good, your content's going to show up. And so I was like, all right, let me channel my inner zombie king. Let me channel my inner, prankster. I'm going to go back on there. And so within 6 to 7 months, we hit 1.8 million followers. And that's just me, on the side, just making funny videos and challenging myself to channel my inner kid. So it's been a great journey. And I'm also using TikTok I'm leveraging TikTok to promote my music now. So because I want to create music that has positivity behind it. It's not only cool and you can dance to it, but it has an underlying message. And so I'm going to make all those kids my little believers.
That's awesome. So you're doing so many things. How do you choose? How do you choose what to focus your time and energy on?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great mentor, Jeff Hoffman. He's the guy who created Priceline.com. And he told me, get a gold medal in something and then move on. And so I think that has been an amazing, rule for us, because as entrepreneurs, right, we have shiny object syndrome. And what that means is we want to do this and we want to do that and we want to create this and we want to do that. And so at this time, we're focusing on systemizing the speaking company, building out the digital presence and the digital products. But in my free time, we can always do stuff in our free time. And so I literally created our house in Vegas. I have a big closet. I created it into a studio. And so now, when I'm not doing anything or at night, I can go in there and, be creative and make music after I've, worked on the business. And so it's just a way for me to channel my other passion, because singing, entertaining, all that stuff was actually my biggest dream when I was 13, 14, and 15. And I kind of just shoved it under the rug after getting denied a couple times. And so I'm back with a new character and in a liberating place in my life, because I know music is opinionated and people are always going to like your music and people are always not going to like your music, right? So I make music now because it makes me feel good and I chip away at it on my free time. But make sure you're getting a gold medal in whatever you're focusing on, systemize it, scale it, and then move on.
So how can people out there that are going through darker times be positive like yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to be very conscious of our focus. And what I mean by focus is a lot of times as humans, we are focusing on things that we can't control versus the things we can control. And what I don't think what many people realize is that the human brain isn't designed to make you happy. That's your job. The human brain is the survival brain, right? And that brain is going to focus on your insecurities. That brain is going to focus on your weaknesses, all the things that you hate about yourself. And so it's your job to be, very conscious of what you're focusing on and where your energy is going. And so, for example, in this craziness, right? Like the media is not a good place to focus. It's a bunch of negativity. Scrolling through social media on useless content is not a good channel to put your focus. And so right now, I think people should be focusing on, new skills. And I don't care if you want to learn knitting. I don't care if you want to learn how to be a better chess player, but do something that is going to add to your arsenal of tools, right? And so be very conscious of your focus. And then I think we can all agree, Dan, yourself included, as us achievers, as people that are crushing it all the time, we forget the self-praise. Like, when's the last time you really looked into the mirror and said, man, you rock? Or girl, you rock. Like, thanks for riding with me through all the hard times. We just beat ourselves up. Like, the majority of our inner self-talk is like, you're not good enough. It's not enough, like Lewis was talking about. And so I would say, come back to the relationship you have within yourself. I think we all try to seek validation from others when we really need to be, falling in love with the person inside of us and our body.
So there's a lot of people in the world that have different stories and have different social medias. You've been able to outshine so many people and to have Tony Robbins, The Rock, and all these big characters like drawn to you. There's a lot of shining stars in the world. How is yours so much brighter?
Yeah, I think it's presence, and I don't even know what it is, because so many people during interviews and stuff, Ed Milet to be one, says like, dude, I forget that you're missing limbs when I'm talking to you. It's because my presence is just there. I'm present in the moment. I have eye contact. I'm drilling them with my energy, love, compassion, genuine authenticity. And so, I just want to serve. And I think a lot of times, whether we know it or not, we all have good intent, but some of the times we're just trying to take from relationships or just trying to take from, opportunities. What can I get out of this? When really one of my biggest core values is contribution. I look for ways that I can serve, just like this. Like, you're my man. I want to come on here and serve as much value as I can because I love you and I enjoy you. And so I go into a room, or I roll into a room, right? And I look for ways, like, my buddy said, how can I be a blessing today? Please allow me to be a blessing in this room right now. Please allow me the opportunity to help shift someone's perspective. And so I just come from a place of serving. And, I pride myself on authenticity, and I pride myself on being genuine. And so I think in that sense, we can agree that people's BS meters are very good. You know that, Dan. People's BS meters are very good. And so when you show up and you truly are present with your clients, or you're truly present with the people, in the audience or whatever it may be, and you drop your ego, then people feel connected with you. And so I feel like I have a superpower to make people feel comfortable. And I make people feel comfortable by, making jokes about my body, like, look at this guy, he can make fun of himself. I'm going to laugh. And now I'm at ease and I can open my brain to, listen to him with an open mind. So just make people feel comfortable, show up authentic, transparent communication, and really just be in the mindset of contribution and not really taking all the time.
So I got to ask you the Rock story, just because it's one of my favorite stories. Like, this is the icon of, the biggest guy on social media, the biggest guy in general. Like, how did that whole scenario happen? For him to post about you, like, it's a big...
Yeah, absolutely. So the context behind it is, at one point on Twitter, he was doing a contest to be in like an edit for ballers. Like, they were compiling a bunch of videos. So I filmed a video of me pushing as much weight as I could. And I'm like, let's throw this on Twitter, do the hashtags. And he had gotten back to me. He was like, he reposted and was like, look at this guy, Nick. This is awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then nothing ever happened after that. And then, I always say I'm a big believer in moments of being guided. Right? When we have our goals in mind, when we have our vision in mind, and we're intentful about our day-to-day, we're more inclined to see the networks, the opportunities, the resources that help you get to the next level. And so it was probably 3 years ago, I went to Vegas. I live here now, but I went to Vegas for Mr. Olympia, which is one of the biggest bodybuilding conventions. And the expo was Friday and Saturday. And so I went Friday, I went Saturday, and Sunday I decided to chill. And then, I had to get my lift in because I was on prep. And I went to City Athletic Club. It's a famous gym in Vegas. And the reason why it's famous is because the lighting makes you look better than what you look like. So I suggest you go there. And I go into the gym and, there's so many people. And my buddy comes running up to me. He goes, Nick, The Rock is upstairs lifting. And I'm like, no way, that's badass. Can I still get my lift on? And he's like, yeah. And so, I climb up these stairs. I'm climbing. And I get up to the stairs and I look to my right. And there's just like 4 security guards standing there, and Dwayne's doing dips. And I'm like, oh my God, like, it really is The Rock. Like, it's just crazy, right? That's someone that you'd never expect to just run into. And so I looked at my buddies and I said, guys, this guy already knows who I am. I stick out like a sore thumb. If The Rock is who he says he is, he'll come up to me. I promise you. And I was like, let's just chill. I want to give him a space, And so I just let him do his thing. And there was a lot of famous people in the gym at the time, CT Fletcher, Kai Green. And at one point, Dwayne's next to me and he's curling, and I'm doing my own thing. And you kind of see like him look over at me, but like, get back into his lift, and he's just like doing his thing. And then about 45 minutes later, he's getting bombarded by pictures, and his security guard comes up to me and he goes, "You're Nick, right?" And I was like, not many people look like this, brother. I'm Nick. And he goes, "Can Dwayne meet you?" And I'm like, dude, come on, like bring him on. And so they escort me over into this corner, and Dwayne comes up to me and he goes, "Dude, I'm such a big fan. I love what you do. Can I have a picture?" And inside, I'm like, oh my God, it's Dwayne Johnson. You all would be doing the same thing too. But on the outside, I'm like, yeah, sure, bro. I'll drop my set. We can take a picture. And, we took the picture, and, I told him about all the things that I wanted to do. I said, I'm going to do what you did. I'm going to become a speaker. I'm going to become a bodybuilder. I'm going to become the first Calvin Klein model with no legs. I was just ripping all my goals to him. And he said, Nick, you're right. Because people like you and I, they put us in any industry and we adapt and overcome. And so it was just an amazing moment for me of confirmation. And then when the day of my competition, he posted me on his Instagram. I gained 150,000 followers, free marketing. It was amazing. So, and now, he follows me, and here and there, he'll comment and like my stuff. So I'm always trying to keep myself in the back of The Rock's mind, because I want to do a movie with him one day.
Hell yeah. I want you to also. All right. So can you tell people about your new venture you're working on right now about teaching kids?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I was this unconfident, suicidal kid looking for the path to fulfillment, looking for what confidence was, right? And what I've realized now, serving humans and entrepreneurs all over the world is I want to invest some of my energy in expediting the process for kids. So basically being like a Yoda, right? And guiding the kids to more clarity on their vision, guiding kids to more confidence, the path to fulfillment. What do they want to do in life? Because I felt like before I go, I don't know when I'm going to go on this earth, but before I go, the greatest gift that I could give is giving your kids my victorious mindset, right? The path to fulfillment, more confidence, building their vision. And so Junior Victorious here is basically a 52-week journey where every Sunday I roll out a mini video lesson to your kid or a kid you care deeply about. And it goes through the acronym of Victorious. So the first month is V, And within that month, your kid's going to learn why vision is important to them. How can they cultivate a vision for their life, a compelling one, the actionable steps to obtain that vision, and then how can they communicate that vision to others? And then it rolls into integrity, courage, thankfulness, all that stuff. And so I think, like I said, my greatest gift that I can give before I go is trickling down to the future generation. So when I'm gone, they can take over the world and be victorious themselves.
That is awesome. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn at Nick Santonastasso. I know I said this before. My last name is very long, so if you type in Nick Santo, I'm the only guy with no legs and one arm with a bunch of tattoos.
We still got 25 more seconds. What else should people think about for the summer of 2020?
Yes, summer of 2020, let's get not only our minds right, because we're doing all this exercising to our mind muscle, but let's get our body right. You know, I always view my body as a Ferrari. And what I mean by that is if we're putting regular gas into a Ferrari, how is that going to perform? Not like a Ferrari should. So your mind and your mind and your body is connected. And so let's combine them, nurture, work on them, fall in love with both of them so you and your kids can, live life to their full potential.
Awesome. It's so good to see you as always. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Love you, brother. Later.
Nick. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Mr. John Assaraf. You have either seen him on The Secret, you've read one of his best-selling books, you've watched him online. He's been a teacher, a mentor, a consultant for many people around the world, and some of the most high-level business people in the world. Reach out to him to help them with their lives and their businesses. So please welcome Mr. John Assaraf.
Hey there, my friend. How are you?
Just happy to be here. How are you doing?
I love it. You know, it's really fun. I've been watching the whole show since 5 o'clock today with my wife, and I'm so fired up. I just love it. So awesome job to everyone.
I appreciate it. Could you give everybody the 60-second bio so I can ask you some questions?
60-second bio. Just like, everybody else on here, I was a really challenged youth. Got into trouble with the police, the law, and I was either going to be in jail or the morgue. And fortunately, at 19 years old, my brother introduced me to a man who asked me about setting goals, and I didn't have any. And he asked me to take a few minutes to write down a whole bunch of goals about how much money I wanted, how much time that I want to give to charities, how I want to take care of my parents, etc. And when we were all finished, he said to me, I'm going to ask you one question. And depending on how you answer that question, it will determine whether you achieve all of your health and wealth and relationship, career, and business goals in your life. I said, sure, tell me. He said to me, are you interested in achieving these goals, or are you committed? And I said to him, his name was Mr. Brown. I said, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? And he said to me, son, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient and what's easy. But if you're committed, you will do whatever it takes. If you're interested, you'll come up with all the stories and reasons and excuses that you can to stay stuck and limit yourself and your growth. But if you're committed, you'll upgrade your knowledge, your skills. You'll let go of the limiting beliefs you have and the low self-esteem that you have, and you will become the type of man that can achieve every one of those goals. So he said, are you interested or are you committed? And I was 19 years old. And I said, well, I'm committed. And I said, I'm really committed. And he said, well, great. And he reached out his hand. He says, in that case, son, I will be your mentor. And at the time, he was worth over $100 million. He was a philanthropist. He was happily married. And he was willing to mentor me because I answered one question, that I was committed. And that was the beginning of my real estate career when I was 19 years old. And then I went on to build RE/MAX of Indiana to an 85 office, 1,200 person company that did $4.5 billion a year in sales, and then did another deal called Bamboo.com, where we took that company public in a year. And that company was worth about $2.5 billion. And I've written some books. And now I get to share with the world how I overcame the limiting beliefs of mine, the fears of mine that I had, the self-image issues I had, and the lack of knowledge and skills because I hated school.
Could you tell us?
And here we are.
Could you tell us about inner size and the things that I think I see some of that in the background there?
My new best-selling book is called Inner Size. So from the time I was 19 years old, I was taught how to set goals, but also to develop the beliefs that I needed to achieve those goals. So not only did I have goals going back 40 years ago, but I wrote out what beliefs do I need to have in order to achieve every one of those goals. And every day I used to read them. I used to close my eyes and visualize actually having those beliefs, even though I didn't believe those beliefs at the time, that I was smart enough and worthy and good enough. And I would emotionalize what it would be like to have those beliefs that I didn't have at the time. And I would pretend, like a Hollywood actor or actress pretends that they're a role that they're not when they first started reading the script. I pretended so much that I was achieving the success that I wanted, that I had the beliefs, that I wasn't fearful and I was courageous and brave, that over a period of a year, 3 years, 5 years, I started achieving all of my goals and dreams. And so for the last 40 years, I've been fascinated with neuroscience and neuropsychology. Like, what happens in the brain when we read an affirmation, when we visualize, when we use subliminal training, when we do mental contrast? I was fascinated with what happened to me. But more than that, back in 1995 or 1992, when my company had plateaued at $1 billion in sales in that year, I knew that we were capable of doing more. And so I said, why don't I teach what I did with meditation and visualization and mindfulness and subliminal programming to my agents? And by teaching my agents how to do what I did, we were able to go from 1.2 billion to $4.5 billion in a year. So the reason I share this is our brain is the most powerful tool in the universe. If somebody said to you, what would you prefer, $1 billion or how to use your own brain better? I would take how to use my own brain better every day of the week, because then you have the worker's manual for it. And so Inner Sides is all about strengthening your core neuro muscles of focus, awareness, beliefs, habits, perceptions, attitude. And so I developed a whole line of inner sizes to help people strengthen their mindset and their emotional control, so achieving goals becomes easier. Not easy, but easier.
So what would you say to somebody now, this summer, you know, it's going to be a very different world. What would you say to somebody that's dealing with dark times and how they can reemerge back into society?
Well, first and foremost, every one of my clients around the world, we are focusing on teaching them how to be adaptationists and changeologists. It's one of the greatest skills that we can have right now. Now, it's counter to what we like to do. Us humans, we hate change. We want things comfortable. We want things as they are. Even though we have a vision and goals of something bigger and better, our comfort zone is really hard to break. And so how do you develop the skill set to be able to make change more comfortable and to be able to change your habits? Right now, we have been forced deliberately, okay, or not, we've been forced into change. And we hate it. And we've got, threat all around us. Whether it's the threat of coronavirus, our brain feels like there's a predator that might get us. If we get it, we might die. So that's affecting us mentally and emotionally. Many people are getting, fired from their jobs or furloughed from their jobs. Tens of thousands, now millions of businesses are going to be closing. So how do you follow your heart, your head, your gut, and change and adapt quickly? That's going to be the biggest skill that somebody can have. Going into the summer, things are going to be different. Things are going to be different with flying. Things are going to be different with restaurants. Things are going to be different with online learning versus events. Everything has changed. And so the question for you is, how do you adapt and change quickly so that you can do what you are here to do with your life? A lot of times people are put in a situation like this, and what they don't realize is all of a sudden they can reset right now and make some decisions to trade their life for something that they are so happy and passionate about, to learn how to let go of the fears or the lack of confidence or the lack of certainty that may have held you back in the past. As we all know, life can change in a nanosecond. And guess what? Why not take this time to say, what do I want to trade my life for starting right now, so that by June, July, August, I'm already in motion?
So what types of content would you recommend people be consuming?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
What types of content would you recommend people be consuming?
So everything that I teach involves mindset, skill set, and action set for every one of your goals. So whether it's your spiritual, emotional, mental, or physical goals or financial goals, there's a specific mindset that you need in order to achieve that goal. There's a specific behavior, strategies, tactics, what you need to do in order to achieve that goal. And then there's specific action sets, which means what are the habits that I need to develop. Part of the challenge that people are going to be facing right now is when they have disrupted their lives so much, most people will develop poor habits during this time because they don't have, and I heard Jay Shetty before, and I heard several other speakers, whether it was Bobby Castro, talk about rituals. All high performance have positive, empowering rituals that are constructive. And a lot of people misunderstand the rituals that they have and how it really affects their lives. The key, or the thing to understand, is everybody has rituals. Some are constructive, some are destructive, some empower you, some disempower you, some are positive, some are negative. So why not take the time right now to stop one disempowering pattern or habit and take the time right now to develop one empowering pattern or habit, so that in the next 100 days, you have something that you've let go of and you have something that you have started that'll empower you and move you towards your goals and dreams.
So when we reemerge and we're back into society, as people are interacting much differently, how can we, as business people and entrepreneurs, look at work in a new light, whether we're going back to that same job or taking on a new role?
Well, I think this, in my opinion, is helping a lot of people face the reality of how short life is and how things can change so fast, so drastically. I was talking to a very good friend of mine, Bill, this morning, who by every stretch of the imagination is one of the top hedge fund oil guys in the world. And he and I were talking about percentage. He said, Johnny, he calls me Johnny, he said, if you would have told me 100 days ago that this was going to happen, he says, I would have taken that bet on $1 million that it won't happen except for a nuclear attack. He said, I would have lost $1 million. He says, and this guy knows money. And he said, it's unbelievable. He's 60 years old right now, and he's traveling just this first 6 months. He was supposed to travel to 16 new countries that he hasn't been to. He says, no, there's no way I would have thought about this. And so I think for every single person here, we know life is precious, right? We talk about it, we high five about it, we tell each other how precious it is, but are you behaving that way? Are you behaving in ways that appreciate your life? Are you behaving in ways that appreciate another human being's life? If there's a source that created all of us, that means that source, I don't care what you call it, God, Allah, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever you call it, if that source is in every human being, then why not start treating every other human being, every plant, every animal, everything as if it's a miracle? You know, Albert Einstein said you can live your life as if everything is a miracle, or you can live your life as if nothing is a miracle. Well, every single person watching, you, me, Lewis, Jay, every speaker, miracles. We're all miracles. Why not start treating ourselves as miracles, treating each other as miracles, and really appreciating life? Let's let go of anything that makes us feel less than that.
So we got 2 minutes left. Somebody waking up tomorrow morning, watching here, how can they treat their day differently starting that first hour of the morning?
Love it. So with me right here is my Exceptional Life Blueprint. So I have a 45-page blueprint that I wrote down, you know, what's my vision for health, wealth, relationship, career, my identity, my philosophies, my goals, my dreams. I have my vision board that many people know me from, The Secret, in my Exceptional Life Blueprint. Every day after I wake up and I meditate, I open up my Exceptional Life Blueprint and I review it. I put my right finger across it and my left finger across it. I have it recorded on my iPhone and I listen to it. And I've taken the time to ask myself, what do I want to trade my life for? Because I think it's so valuable and precious. And I prime my brain. I focus my brain on that and on the intention and how I can make the biggest, most positive impact in the world that day. And then, like many of the other speakers, after I do that, I go and exercise for an hour, and then I have my morning smoothie, and then I start my day. But it's very, very deliberate. Now, a lot of people ask, why should I set goals? Why should I do that? Because we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and then we're all on social media, on multiple social media channels. We're reading stuff, television, radio, all that stuff. That is all bombarding our brain and diffusing our energy. And so the more you can focus your energy like a magnifying glass or like a laser, the more you're able to, A, be in that vibration of what it is you want to achieve, and B, you train your subconscious mind to work for you while your conscious mind is off doing other things. So every single day I prime my brain. The reason I wrote the book Inner Size was to help people strengthen their core neuromuscles so they can achieve their goals faster and easier versus being diffused and unfocused. And we have the most powerful brain, the organism in the entire universe. And if we use it better, we can achieve more of our life's biggest goals and dreams and our potential. So every day I do that, no matter where I am in the world.
Awesome.
Which is home now for a while.
Where can people find you on social media?
On my Instagram page, @Assaraf. I have a Facebook fan page. I do free training all over the place. On Facebook, on my fan page, I do free training every Tuesday morning. My company is called myneurogym.com. So myneurogym.com. We do a lot of free trainings as well. Many people may have seen our brainathons and things like that. So all over social media, John Assaraf.
Awesome. It's truly a pleasure to have you tonight. Thank you so much. John, have a good night.
And you've got one of my dear friends coming up next, David Meltzer. Oh, sorry. I just see him. We were just talking yesterday. So thank you, Dan. Great job as always.
Thank you. So our next guest, the cat's out of the bag, is Mr. David Meltzer. I've actually known this guy half of my life. We went to the same high school together, a little bit different in years. Went to Patrick Henry High School in San Diego, California. Dave has a resume that's way too long. He was one of the top executives for one of the biggest phone companies in the world. He was a CEO for Lee Steinberg, the agency that they based the Jerry Maguire movie on. He has a company with Warren Moon. There's just so many things. I could talk about him the whole 15 minutes. I don't want to do it. Let's just welcome Mr. David Meltzer.
Buddy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Could you give everybody like a 30-second bio? Because otherwise it'll take like a half an hour. There's just so many things.
Yeah, I mean, my simple bio is my whole life has been about money and my relationship with money. So I grew up poor, 9 months out of law school, millionaire, ran Samsung's first phone division, then Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Warren Moon and I had started 13 years ago a sports marketing and media company. The last few years, I write books, speak, podcasts, TV show called Elevator Pitch, very similar to what you're doing, Danny. I mentor, want to executive business coach, and a lot in mindset and positivity. So I'm just really excited to be here. And anytime I get to see you, John, Jay, Lewis, anybody, it's great.
So you exude the confidence of what this whole episode is about, is positive mindset. This is what your whole world is. Can you talk a bit about why?
Yeah, I mean, I teach three lenses in life. One is productivity. So I have this pragmatic sense about me, about how much value I can provide. And I lost over $100 million in 2008 and learned that money does not buy love or happiness, which I was driven by my whole life. Instead, shifting the paradigm that money allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, you'll be happy. So I started making room in my life by being of service and of value, thus the lens of productivity. The second lens is accessibility, a mindset of how accessible am I to others and how am I accessing what I want. So being able to receive is a big deal. And then finally, most importantly, known for the lens of gratitude. So being able to be gracious, and I always say to find the light, love, and lessons in everything. And so in these compressed times of uncertainty, extraordinary change, I'm sitting in the middle of miracle and trying to empower others to do the same.
That's fantastic. So you are in the streets, meaning you talk to everybody. You're dealing with billionaires that own stadiums. You're dealing with entrepreneurs that are just getting started with $600 to their name. Like, what is the mindset of people out there in the world right now?
It varies. There's, I think, three sets of people always. There's the set of people that live in the world of not enough, no matter how much they have, by the way, the billionaires down to the startup. There's the people that are living in a world of not enough. They're victims. Everything's happening to them. And then there's people that live in the world of just enough. And they sit there and they're filled people. They're positive people, and there's just enough for them. And then there's a third of the people that live in a world of more than enough. Everything comes through them for others. There's more than enough of everything for everyone. And those three worlds are consistent, and they get put under pressure and compressed when uncertainty, which is the future, is compressed down and change is accelerated. We've been in 13 years of stability and growth. So for a lot of younger people, this is a huge shock. So I think the desperation or the disparate nature that I see between people is the experience of living through 93, 97, 2001, 2008, and now.
Yeah. So when we reemerge this summer, I've been asking a different version of this question. How do you see the new business world, and what can people be doing better?
I see the new business world the same way I always do. It's just accelerated. Technology, we were looking at 2027 for over 50% of the people in the United States to be freelancers. That's now changed. I know the gig economy has been accelerated. We have to rethink our financial institutions, our political institutions, our educational institutions. All of that's just been accelerated. And I still think, though, coming out of it, it's very important to stick to the fundamentals of taking inventory of your values, personal, experiential, giving and receiving values, understanding the ask and attract of a series of questions, the ask for help, series of questions, how someone else can help you, and then also understanding time. And as you see, your capabilities today, synergistic and supplementary to all types of opportunities in the future. And so the faster we move, the easier it'll be to monetize those capabilities.
Okay, pick a number between 4 and 10.
Got it.
All right, what is it? 7?
Oh, I thought you were going to play a game with me as far as how well it's going to be.
No, just pick a number.
Dude, 10.
10. Okay, we're going to pick 10 winners. I think I'm going to give out some of your books. I'm just going to donate some of your books on your behalf for you. I'm going to give out 6 of Dave's books. I'm going to give out 2 Cash App winners, and 2 people are going to get a 100millionacademy.com box that has over $500 worth of stuff inside of it. So there's 6 of Dave's books, 2 Cash App winners, and 2 people are going to win a wooden crate with $500 from 100millionacademy.com. So all you have to do is answer inside the comments, what is the name of the show that Dave Meltzer has? The venture capital related show that Dave Meltzer has. What is the name of it? Put it in there, and then we're going to pick some winners. Okay. So next question is, the world has changed, right? But us as people, I think Jay Shetty said it best, we're actually learning to communicate better when we're talking to people more because we're all living inside of Zoom. How do you think that changes this year when we do reemerge with live events versus Zoom? Are we co-working spaces? Are we working from home? What's happening in the new world?
Yeah, I think we're going to have different shifts as far as people will be working more at home. People will do Zoom. I'm one of the people that have resisted doing Zooms. I carried an entourage with me, as you know, Dan, to do everything live. And I will reduce the amount of things that I do live and do more through the digital technology that I've become very comfortable with and have found unbelievable value in savings of time, money, and also being able to communicate and attach emotionally with people. I think more shared working spaces will be available. So you'll just see, like I said, an acceleration of what's going on in my closet right now. It's an acceleration of what probably would have taken 10 years. I think will happen over the next year and a half.
Yes, I see a lot of positivity in that. I think there's a lot of people that wanted to be online or thought they had to be online or needed something. Like, look at Zoom itself. Went from 10 million users to 200 million users like that. I don't think people can grasp that type of scale for a company. It's massive. Like 2 months ago, I posted on social media, I sold all of my stocks, and I never sold any stock in 4 years. I sold all of my stocks, and I just bought Zoom. And I posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I'm like, guys, I don't give stock advice. We are just in a new world, and this is going to get crazy. And anyways, so Zoom is a perfect example of us. We didn't use Zoom before. Like we had it, and maybe you did it once in a blue moon. Like, oh, somebody's in Asia or Europe or Mexico, maybe you'll do a Zoom call. Outside of that, now it's every single day. My grandfather's teaching Yiddish on Zoom. My mom, he's 93 years old. He didn't like just think about that. He couldn't spell Zoom before, right? Like Zoom wasn't even on his radar, and now he's doing classes teaching people on there. So I think it's just kind of, like you said, forced us to dive into the technology space. And I also believe that we are connecting more than ever, and we talk a lot more than ever. Like there's more excuse and reason to.
Yeah, I see a lot more. Like John and I, we're closer than ever. Because of the travel time and because of the availability, I am talking to more people that I care about. You and I get to extend and see each other a lot more as well. And I just, even ironically, my family, right? Like my brother's a rabbi. We're doing different things throughout the holidays together that all of us could not get together ever. We have so many kids, and now our whole families are together. And then, of course, the personal side, I always say the biggest value that I've gotten out of this is I have 2 kids in college, 3 daughters that are teenagers. We'll never be able to have this many dinners in a row. Since I've been 24 years old, I've never slept in my bed 7 straight nights until now. And I've never had this many dinners, even when the kids were younger, in a row together. And I value that more than going to the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl, the Masters. I don't care what they've canceled on me this year. I'd rather have those dinners, and I know they're not going to last.
Not fun, huh?
So
and we've had that for 20 years, thanks to you.
So what do you think about live events in the future as far as like Super Bowl and all these large scale events at stadiums?
I think we're going to have to wait till there's a vaccine. I take a baseball analogy to this. We're in the first inning, and we're going to go ahead and get to the second and keep on evolving. But mass gatherings like the Super Bowl, it's not just the 100,000 people that go to the game. There's millions of people, Dan, as you know, moving around, bars, clubs, hospitality. And, it's when there's just a few cases, we see how quickly in a 4-week period that can grow. So we're going to have a vaccine before they have mass gatherings like those events. And they will. They'll come up with a vaccine. But I think everyone, realistically, our businesses are going to be fine. They're going to change. They're going to be probably lower in gross revenue, higher in net revenue is one thing I predict. And then 2, it'll be a while till you get a mass showing. One of the things I predict, Dan, and I got a video from like 2 years ago about the stage theory. I said, sports are moving anyway. For the event, eventually will be no fans. I was against building billion-dollar stadiums because the interaction is so much greater from your couch than it is in these stadiums. And I thought the whole world is a stage. And now that we can capture, modify, amplify, and perpetuate content, it can be monetized so much easier and enjoyed in a better way.
Yeah, they've shown that with esports over the last few years, and now that they're allowing sports gambling and in real time, I think it's very fascinating, and also allowing us to hear what the people are saying, what the athletes are saying, what the coaches are saying. That's been such great, compelling content, watching football players, basketball players interacting on the actual field and courts. So for somebody that has a business, I keep saying if a restaurant can survive, when they reemerge, I do believe that 20 to 60% of their competitors in their area will be gone, sadly. And I think that the people that do stick through this are going to win long term. It's not easy. I'm not saying in an easy fashion, but what are your thoughts about when we come out of here and there's 20 million people unemployed or whatever the number ends up being, and there's millions of businesses gone? What can people do if they do survive this?
Yeah, I think you have to do one thing right now and carry it through as there's going to be opportunity is you have to look and develop your skills, enhance your knowledge, and then most importantly, the people that will prevail. And I've, worked with the greatest athletes and executives in the world. They have one common denominator, and it's the people that must be what they can be. And when you must be what you can be, developing your skills, your knowledge, and containing and maintaining that desire, you'll find a way to make more. Millionaires are made during the Depression than any other time. I call it the margins of millionaires are made because the emotional swings of being able and have the opportunity to buy when things are oversold is the easiest way to make millions. And that's true in all businesses. So there's going to be the people that are going to have a more difficult time that don't develop skills, knowledge, and have that desire. But real quick tip, Danny, people out there, if you want to know how to make money, take your capabilities and find the companies that are doing well right now and find the synergies and supplementary capabilities you have to that industry, or find companies that haven't moved, are just stable businesses through this time. Find your capabilities that are supplementary or synergistic to them. And then if you want to see the future, go find those stocks, like you were saying, that are, completely botched up. Like I'm a big gambling fan. 20 states approved gambling in 18 months. Two oldest professions in the world. One of them is gambling. If you have any skills that are synergistic or supplementary to that business, it's going to rebound big and hard, because right now there's nothing to gamble on and there's no casinos to gamble in. And I promise you, studying human nature and history, that gambling industry is going to boom.
So where can people find you, your social, your business, your podcast? Where can they find your worlds?
Well, it's at David Meltzer. I have a text community, 949-298-2905. David Meltzer on LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. And at David Meltzer is right there. You can even email me. I accept all that, david@dmeltzer.com. And thank you so much, Dan, for the time. Everybody, my mission in life to empower others to be happy. Happiness is the greatest virus. You can spread it by just witnessing it, and it strengthens your immune system. Hang in there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, David Meltzer. All right, our closing speaker. I'm very excited about Jamie Kern Lima. Her story is fascinating to me. We actually talked yesterday for 2.5 hours on the phone. I haven't talked to anybody for 2.5 hours on the phone since high school. And it was really fun, and I never felt bored because it was so interesting and exciting to hear the entire story and everything that came to be. So she first started off as a Denny's waitress, TV news anchor, all these normal jobs, and then she decided she was going to start this company. And she managed to build up a company that she recently sold for $1.2 billion in cash. I want you to think about that progression. It wasn't like she was handed zillions of dollars up front to build this company. She started it with passion because she saw something, a niche in the market, and she built it from there. Please welcome Mrs. Jamie Kern Lima.
Dan, how are you?
Fantastic.
So great to be here.
How's it going? Okay, so if you could give a better version of the story, I gave my more emotional side of it. Could you actually tell us and walk us through it a bit?
Yeah, of course. And it's pretty amazing. We spoke 2.5 hours. I don't think I've been on that long of a call in a long time. And I've been on this elevator night now, almost 3 hours, and listening and watching all your guys' comments. So super grateful to be here. And my story in so many ways is much like, I guess, the American dream, right? Starting with almost nothing and working really, really, really hard. I'm most well known for the company that I started called It Cosmetics, and started it in my living room and grew it to, depending on the month, it's either now the largest or second largest luxury beauty company in the country, which is crazy. And then sold it to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion cash after starting with almost nothing. And it was the most incredible journey, really based on us doing something different that pretty much everybody said no to me for several years. And it was super tough. At one point, we got down to under $1,000 in our bank account, which was, my personal bank account, our company bank account. The first 3 years were filled with no's, but we sort of just stayed focused on our why and on doing something that I really felt like was bigger than myself. And, in so many ways, I know there's so many entrepreneurs right now that are watching this, and so many people going, okay, I'm counting on the stimulus check right now, right? Whether it's $1,200 or whatever, it's like, well, we got down to under that amount, and we launched the company in 2008, one of the toughest economic times, and so in our modern history. And so, I'm just honored and blessed and grateful to be here, just to kind of share some insight, because like so many of the speakers had said tonight, a lot of innovation can come out of these super, super hard times. And so sold to L'Oreal. It was their largest acquisition in U.S. history. And then they made me their first female to hold a CEO title in their 100+ year history. So it's been a crazy, wild journey, and just excited to be here with you right now.
So I noticed something important that you said there. You started in 2008 during one of the worst times in our recent modern history, we're in that moment now where we don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know if it's going to be a couple month situation, a multi-year situation. We don't know what kind of recession we're going to go through. You started in the midst of that and emerged like a phoenix. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I think that, one of the, so obviously I'm super sensitive to how tough this time is right now for so many people. And especially if you own a very large company, you have so many people who their livelihoods are depending on you. If you are an entrepreneur, though, if you are someone who wants to launch a business, if you're a creative, if you're somebody with a smaller company, during these times, everyone is in survival mode right now. And one of the things happening is a lot of big companies are just figuring out how to survive right now. And so for so many businesses in a time like this, innovation is kind of on hold. And when you are an entrepreneur, when you are doing something super different that has never been done in the marketplace, like it is a prime time right now to really get your creativity out there and really sort of like go full speed ahead. And that's what we did in 2008. Now, here's the thing I want to say. It was tough, right? In 2008, there was no access to capital. It was really, really tough. And what I want to say about that is actually, now that I look back, right? Now that I took this company from my living room, struggled for like 3 years because we literally heard no from everybody. It was really tough. Like we couldn't pay ourselves the first 3 years. So it was super, super tough. But knowing what I know now, and I look back on it, it was a big blessing in disguise. When you go through these hard times and you don't have access to capital, we got really, really scrappy. And what I mean by that is because in the beginning, the first 3 years, we could barely afford to do anything. All of our money was poured into either legal or product and R&D and regulatory compliance, stuff like that. So because we couldn't afford to hire and build our team out, it's like you're forced to figure out how to do every single job in your company and, really forced to figure out what's your why, your mission, your purpose that's bigger than yourself. And it's like, by the time we were scaling, by the time we got our first really huge break, which was QVC, and by the time we started getting into all the stores across the country, by that point when we were hiring and scaling, because we got up to over 1,000 employees, which is wild because, that's across the country. But by that point, I had learned to do almost every job in the company. And I started in my living room. My husband was all in. I was all in. My best friend of 20 years was our first employee, Jackie, all in. And the three of us, we were scrappy, Dan, but it was a blessing in disguise because when we scaled, it was like we had best practices and clear controls and quality controls over every department and could really scale quickly in a way that made an impact. So, there's good and bad to everything. And right now, these are tough times. It's funny, I was on my Instagram today and I was just thinking about it and posted, champions aren't made when the game is easy. And it's like right now the game isn't easy and it's not going to be for a little while. But these are also the times champions are made of, especially as it pertains to mindset, to not giving up. And instead of giving up, it's like so many people right now are tempted to give up. And by that, I mean just like, oh, let me just watch Netflix for the next 3 months, right? Which is fun. And listen, if that's what you got to do, maybe it's rest for you. And that is a good thing. But rather than give up, it's like, oh no, it's time to skill up. You know what I mean? And that's different for everybody. In your business, it might be time to skill up and start going virtual or learning virtual, learning digital, learning things that are strategic for your business. But for other people, it might, be time to faith up, right? It might be like a good check to go, oh, where am I at with my faith in my life or health up or I was listening earlier, Joel Marion, love him, talking about, just like focusing on his family on top of everything else. Like this is a time not to give up, but to skill up in that area too.
So a lot of people are talking about pivoting in this entrepreneurial journey and things are going to change a lot this summer and beyond. Yeah. Can you talk about that decision of when you should be pivoting?
Yeah, don't you feel, and I love reading all the comments. I'm seeing all of them right now live. I love this. We're all live together. Like, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just hanging out on a Sunday night, and everyone's a champion who's on this. Like, if you're on this right now and you're watching Elevator Nights, like, you know, you're already scaling up already. But yeah, I mean, the biggest buzzword right now is pivot, right? I mean, just about everywhere you look online, every business course, every speaker, everyone's talking about pivoting. I want to say something that might be a little different, but I'm going to say it because it's one of the secrets, I believe, to how we were able to create $1 billion company just from an idea. And what I want to say is, it's always tempting to pivot, right? And right now, of course, times are changing. I mean, everything's going virtual. Of course, we all need to pivot in certain ways, especially as it pertains to digital and technology and being virtual, et cetera. But be super careful that the pivots you choose are strategic and not a distraction. And what I mean by that is, I feel like one of the most important things right now, whether you're a leader of your family or a leader of your business, is to really know what your why is, what your big picture purpose is, right? What you're doing as part of your business that's bigger than yourself. You have to keep laser focused on that. For one, when you're a boss and you're just trying to hang on to employees, like I've learned, no competitor's amount of money can compete if you truly have a purpose when your employees are believing it's bigger than themselves. And that's how we retained such an incredible team for so many years, was that clear vision. But here's the biggest thing is, in my journey of building IT Cosmetics, like we were doing something really different with trying to shift culture and beauty around inclusivity and how we use real women of all skin tones and ages and sizes and all the things we were doing. I was told by all the retailers, like all the department stores, you know, Sephora, Ulta, QVC, I was told by all of them it's not going to work, and no. And we were literally told no for years. And they would all tell me what to do to change if we wanted to be successful, right? And as we grew and grew, it's like we didn't pivot just because of what was hot at the time or what was working at the time. We stayed super focused on our mission. And by the time we got into Sephora and Ulta and QVC and department stores, even when we were doing really well and growing like crazy, they would still tell us things like, okay, you know, multicolor concealer like green and pink and yellow, it's going to be hot in 6 months. We want you to do a product now for it. And okay, so I could have gone, okay, let me create it. I'll make a lot of money. I know what, but if it wasn't aligned with our authentic secret sauce, I said no. And I refused to pivot in a way that in some ways was a distraction to what we were doing. And I disappointed retailers in the process. But had I launched a, you know, red, yellow, green concealer, it wasn't authentic to our brand DNA, which is like, let's create these products that are so superior. They do the work for you. Even if you're a makeup artist, you're not a makeup artist, you don't know what you're doing. I want our products to work. So if I'm going to create this crazy thing just because it's hot and making everyone money, well, okay, it might sell once, might sell short term, but over time, I've now diluted the authenticity of my brand DNA. So I got super good at saying no and at not pivoting just because it was hot. And the one thing I would always say to my team at IT Cosmetics is that our biggest threat to our success isn't our competition. It's if we ever get distracted by what they're doing or by what's hot and risk diluting our own secret sauce. So right now, what I would say is like pivoting is the buzzword everywhere. And yeah, of course you need to pivot, but you know, this whole thing is just a few weeks old, and yeah, things are changing really fast, but I think you need to take a big step back and go, you know, what is my why? What is the vision of my company, the reason for existing, and make sure any pivots you make are super strategic and aligned with that vision and not a distraction just because something a competitor did is doing really well for them now as they pivoted. And had we ever got distracted, Dan, and sort of like, if I ever would have listened to what all these retailers are telling me to do, I would have created something that is like what everyone else is doing, and we would have never sold it for over $1 billion. So that's my biggest thing. You can't fake authenticity, and any pivot right now has to be strategic, aligned with your own authentic mission, if you want to preserve value and grow something that actually matters.
So if you had to share a recipe for your success, what would that be?
Well, for me, I'm huge on, keeping your faith bigger than your fear. Faith is huge for me. When it comes to business best practices, I would say 3 things. I mean, you have, number one, work really, really hard. And I think nowadays, you know this better than anyone, you see on Instagram, things look easy, they look instant. I think that you absolutely have to work really, really, really hard. I did 100-hour weeks for 10 years. I don't recommend that. It came at the price of literally everything else, personally, everything. So I don't recommend that, but you have to work really, really hard. And I think the second big one, and this is a big one, is to not give up. And it seems so simple, but literally, I swear, of the millions of people that become entrepreneurs and that take a chance on something, I feel like sometimes it's as simple as just not giving up. And if you know in your gut that you're supposed to do what you're doing, right? Like for me, everyone said no the first 3 years. And I remember crying myself to sleep when I thought for sure we're going to, be perfect for QVC. And then they told me no again. And it was like, I remember getting down to under $1,000 in our bank account going, how are we going to survive? And it's like, but I knew in my gut, when you get super quiet and still and you just listen, if what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing. I think if you have that gut feeling, I think that's your calling. I think it's part of your calling. And I think the most important thing is just to not give up. And sometimes that simple thing of not giving up is literally what makes it for you, right? So for me, the first 2 things, working super hard, not giving up, but those are just the price of admission. That's just the price of admission. I think the biggest thing that I did right in this journey, in starting with nothing and creating a $1 billion company, was just making the decision to believe that I could. And I think when you make that decision, no matter who tells you no matter who in your friends or family or your circle doesn't get it, no matter what these experts, you want to put them on a pedestal and they tell you your idea is never going to work. It's like, if you make that decision just to simply believe that you are going to make it, that shift in mindset, for me, it's everything. For me, it's how I got through hundreds of no's and a lot of years with no money in the bank. And, when we finally got on QVC, we were so blessed to sell out the first airing, but that quickly turned into hundreds of live shows a year. And it was me, living in the green room, trying to scale the business and hire employees and create products and doing these 100-hour weeks, just so burnt out. But I knew what I was doing mattered and that was bigger than myself. And every person I hired on the team, it was so critical. We all had that same vision. And it was really all about mindset. It wasn't just oh, we're doing really well in sales now, this is going to work. It's oh, no, we know why we're doing what we're doing. And literally just deciding to believe it is going to happen. For me, that mindset shift is really what I leaned back on, in addition to a whole lot of prayer and trusting that my gut is telling me this for a reason, which when I get strong gut feelings, I know it's God, and that's it. So, for me, mindset's everything. This is a tough time right now. And I think that everyone needs you, each one of you guys on here with us tonight, to show up as a leader right now. And that's tough, right? And it doesn't mean the answers. It doesn't mean when this is all going to end. But it does mean that you say, I'm here and we're going to figure this out. We're going to get through this. And our why is so much bigger that it is going to survive this time.
So you mentioned that you heard hundreds of no's. What would you say to people that are facing that when they're trying to sell something or start something, like, and people are telling them no? How do you persevere through that?
Yeah, it is so hard. I mean, Dan, I remember times at Sephora when I felt like I was in a dream. I don't know if you guys, if you've ever seen Devil Wears Prada and you feel like you're in this, like, I remember being in Sephora headquarters for the first time, thinking like my dream's going to come true and being told no, and literally not knowing how we were going to pay the bills. I remember the elevator ride to the bottom where tears are like, and I was just trying to like keep it together, crying myself to sleep, all the no's from QVC. And by the way, every person that told us no, eventually we turned it into a yes. And in most of the cases became the largest brand in their history. Wow. So that's what's wild, right? Is QVC said no for 3 years. When we finally got our shot, it was like, okay, we're ready. And we grew and still are the largest beauty brand in their history. What I would say though, if you're watching this right now and you're getting no and you're getting doubt, the very most important thing is to not let those no's translate into doubt in your own head about your own dream. And that is huge. And one other thing I'll say is what I wish I knew in the early years where all I was doing is hearing no nonstop, okay, is this, because this is what I've learned. If you are doing something that is novel, that's new, that is different, that hasn't been done before, of course, all the experts are going to say no, because for them, and by the way, most experts haven't actually ever built a brand, right? They're just in a position as an authority or an expert. Most experts have never built anything. And if you're, doing something totally disruptive or totally new or different or innovative, of course, they're all going to say no, because subconsciously there's no social proof in their minds that it's going to work because they've never seen it work, because it's never been done before. And so many times creative people and entrepreneurs and dreamers, we have these ideas and these goals, and they may not get traction in the beginning, right? Like I created $1 billion company, but the first 3 years we were doing like 1 or 2 orders a day on our website. That was it. I couldn't pay myself. It was like, so just because you might not be getting traction now, or just because all of the experts are saying no now, it's like for you, your gut is stronger than anyone else's advice. And so if you know in your gut that this is your calling and this is your why and this is what you're supposed to be doing, then you just have to put your blinders up to people that don't get it, to people that are experts but maybe don't believe in what you're doing. And you just have to know they might mean really well, but they've never seen it work before. They've never seen it have been done before. And so don't get angry because you want to keep those relationships because later, I'm telling you, they will be a yes when the time is right, and you don't want them to hate you then. Right. So have some grace with them, pray for them, know like, oh, they just don't get it yet, but I get it. And you just got to go with your dream. Like if it's in your gut, like for me, that tells me it's part of your calling and you're supposed to be on this journey, even when times are hard.
So where can everybody find you, your social, your world, what's going on in your life?
I am on Instagram. That's really the only platform right now that I'm like personally active in. So my Instagram is at Jamie Kern Lima. And yeah, you know what? Like, and I know this is a hard time, and especially for entrepreneurs. And so if I can ever help you, whether it's, just to share advice or inspire you or encourage you, that's where I'm at. My Instagram, Jamie Kern Lima. And I want to say, Dan, thank you to you for organizing this. So many of the people speaking tonight are friends of mine, and so many of them I've never met, and was super just inspired to be in this community. And I love reading everyone's comments as well. And I love that you give a lot of stuff away because that's fun.
It's fun, right? All right. So I really, truly appreciate you being here tonight. I'm going to beg and plead with you to come back on because we're going to have some more of these Sundays coming up. So if you make some time for us, please do. You've been a pleasure for us. I wanted to thank everybody in general tonight. We're going to try to do this we are going to do this every single Sunday during the quarantine. You can always register at elevatornights.com for free. There will not ever be any sales on here. This is all for fun to teach you guys, interact. In about 1 to 2 days from now, it'll be live on YouTube. You'll be able to find it on the Elevator channel. Make sure to follow at Jamie Kern Lima. And thank you and good night.